can't find me. You may never wanna find me again. Cause people don't understand. People don't understand. People like me.
I've never needed a beer more in my life. How you guys doing? It's a Tuesday, and we're here for episode 34 of the Barroom Podcast. We're here once again with our lovely host of regulars here. Some grumpy, some not so grumpy. And by not so grumpy, I mean everyone on the podcast apparently has a little bit of grump to him today. But let's start off with our good buddy Orange Hat Reviews. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Almost at full 38 rotations around the sun. Doing good, yeah.
Almost, but not quite. Yes, Orange Hat's birthday is tomorrow, and I told him that I was going to specifically end the stream before midnight, so we didn't have to mention it. So there you go.
Well, I screwed it up for you.
That's his real birthday gift. So
Yeah.
Joining us on the West Coast right now is our good buddy Rob Mata. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Oh, I'm doing great now that you said everybody else is grumpy because I'm just a natural born contrarian. So now I have to be in a good mood. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that.
Like I said, just Jedi mind trick Rob into being in a good mood. That's what we have to do moving forward. Some more eating pizza rolls as dinner. It's our good buddy Cole Classic Cage. How you doing tonight, Cassie?
Woo! I'm doing great. My my inner retro gamer is thoroughly fulfilled with my new analog pocket, so I can thoroughly relive my childhood in peak order. So very happy about that, and hope all is well with everyone.
Doing pretty well. Also joining us here tonight, maybe I think a good idea for Nerdigans is that we make a comic book about her, where like her and her cat fight crime, but her cat does mostly all the work. I think that's something that Johnson.
You
can
mean
inherit
Hong
right
Kong Phooey?
Yes.
Hong Kong Phooey?
Yes. How you doing, Nerdigans?
I am really tired. I've either been writing or recording like nonstop for like the past few days.
Mm-hmm.
And probably after this podcast, I'm going to get back to like finishing up the 2 interviews I have to do in an anime list because I got to pay rent like tomorrow.
Yeah, I just did that a couple hours ago. It wasn't fun. There's a whole... Well, our management office decided that, now would be a great time to... hey, let's change the way that we pay our water. So instead of actually charging you based on how much water you use, we're going to charge you based on the square footage of your apartment and how many people live there, which is going to add another $100 to my rent, which already went up $400 in the last couple of months. So it's like everything's going great over there. So... Yeah, wow. Just a lovely time. And then, by the way, Johnson's here. So, hey, Johnson, how you doing?
Yeah, you can come camp out in my backyard. So I got a pond. So.
I might hold you to that, so don't.
I got a beautiful koi fish pond. So with some of the biggest, fattest koi you will ever see. They're at least 2 feet long.
This is foreshadowing of how you're going to go out, Jacob. The pond.
Yep, fishing and hunting. Hopefully your pond doesn't have leeches like in the movie that we watched last night. So if you missed our Stand By Me movie night last night, it was a pretty interesting adventure there. And then, of course, our lovely people joining us in the chat tonight. Spencer's here, spewing lies like he always is. So nothing pretty much on brand for Spencer here tonight. Our buddy Alex vs. Evil was here. Says congratulations on 700 subs. Yeah, I'll speak about that here in a second. Duke Nukem saying Opa to everyone who is here in the chat tonight. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. Goddamn right, Johnny Cash all day, baby. Cassie somewhere harassing people in the chat right now. Doba Fett, our buddy, is here. Josh is here with beer. Too afraid to show his face on the show that he used to be on, but whatever the case may be. Yeah, get on the panel, Josh.
So.
Like your massive words I can't say on YouTube just yet, but I'm thinking them. Yeah, and then Alec Baldwin said cancel Rob. Remember about Classic Rob? Hey, maybe not. Well, maybe we'll work on that soon as well. But yeah, we actually just passed 700 subs, so not bad for a year's work. It's weird because I think I was just talking about this on the thread we were right before the show, how it feels like right now all of my shorts are doing great while all of my normal videos are basically like doing nothing at the moment. Like I did like maybe 6 regular videos, which was our cut up from our last podcast. Those did about 600 views, and then I did the 5 shorts of the 1 minute reviews, which people seem to like, because that one is almost at 4,000 views for the 5 that I posted. So apparently, what you're telling me is to keep doing the 1 minute reviews and stop trying to do everything else. So I guess
I will say
works.
I'm stealing your format for that for book reviews that I do. I think that's wonderful. So.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, like I said, the shorts seem to work for now, so let's go ahead and keep doing that. But there's a lot that happened in the course of the last week. It's one of those weeks where either everything happens in 1 week or like absolutely nothing happens, and I'm scrambling on the last like 24 hours to figure out things to talk about, but that's not what happened here. I think we should kick this show off by talking about the Rick and Morty creator who was fired from allegations of things that may or may not have happened, which I'm kind of surprised it took this long, because there's been a lot of questionable things about these 2 guys who have been running the Rick and Morty show for a while. But Adult Swim parts ways with Justin Roiland, I'm going to spell his name right, following domestic abuse charge, confirms that Rick and Morty will continue in his absence. So if I'm not mistaken, this is the guy who does the voice of both Rick and Morty for the show, but they're going to continue to do the show without him, which is good luck with that, I guess. But yeah, in the light of recent revelation that Rick and Morty's creator has been charged with felony domestic abuse, the Adult Swim has announced that it will no longer be working with him moving forward, and they'll be trying to do the show without him. As first reported on NBC News, following his January 12th appearance in a pre-hearing trial, Roland is facing 1 felony count of domestic battery with corporal injury and 1 felony count of false imprisonment with menace, violence, fraud, or deceit, stemming from an incident which he had said had taken place 3 years ago in Orange County, California. So this is not a recent thing. This is one that happened a few years back. Public details of the case say that there's a protective order by the court. The criminal complaint filed by the Orange County District Attorney and later obtained by NBC News reveals that Roland is being accused of having assaulted his currently unidentified ex-girlfriend sometime around January 19th of 2020. Initially, he was charged of that May that year. He was subsequently arrested and quickly released with a bail of $50,000. From there, he was arraigned in October, which gave him time to submit a not guilty plea. In a statement on NBC News following the initial support, his lawyer or his attorney said that we're looking forward to clearing Justin's name to help him move forward, as swiftly as possible. And there's also been movement on the arraignment. Roland could no longer move within 100 feet of the person in question, who is unnamed, obviously would have to turn in any firearms that he owns or possesses, being a domestic abuser. That order lasted until October of this year. So that was back then. So once this whole thing got made public, Rick and Morty made the official announcement on their social media pages saying that Adult Swim has ended their relationship with him. Rick and Morty will continue. The talent and the crew that are hard at work at season 7. So I don't know what the hell that means exactly for the future of the show, but there's been a lot of questionable things about these 2 moving around for a lot of years. If you remember, anyone remember the whole Dan Harmon situation where there was this weird video about a fake baby rape that went viral like a few years back? It's like a 5-minute video where he was playing a child molester named Daryl, climbing through the window, pulling down his underwear, rubbing his genitals on a plastic baby doll that was going viral. Anyone remember that whole crazy thing?
No, I never heard of that.
I remember that. I remember people freaking the fuck out about it.
Yeah, it's funny how that kind of got memory holes from a lot of people. And that was also around the time of the whole James Gunn thing. We'll talk about James Gunn later on here. But yeah, a lot of questionable things going on behind the scenes with the people involved with the Rick and Morty franchise. So I think we'll start this one off with Nerdigans. What is your thoughts on Rick and Morty imploding and then continuing without its creator?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny. They're bringing back Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but they're not bringing the one show that everyone wants back, which is Venture Brothers. People have been dying for Venture Brothers to come back, and now they're going to bring back Aqua Teen Hunger Force and probably treat the actor who plays Frylock like shit. But that's a whole different conversation. But Rick and Morty should have been canceled 2 seasons ago. I tuned out when season 5. I think I started tuning out of Rick and Morty. That's when it really went downhill. Yeah. I mean, I think the season 4 finale was that was when Rick went to prison. I think that was fine. Hell, it's just Rick and Morty's not as good as it used to be. It's like they're getting so sick of the meta humor, and they were getting sick of the audience too. And it's just, it needs to end. It just, you can't do Rick and Morty without Rick and Morty. It's like with King of the Hill revival that's coming. It's like you can't do. I remember them saying that they were never going to do it unless because of Brittany Murphy's death, and now they're doing it. It's like a huge what? You're doing it now, even though you said you weren't going to do it because of Brittany Murphy dying. It's just weird. Everything's so questionable nowadays.
Well, I'll say this, Rick and Morty, like, it's a show that I've liked and I enjoyed. I'm not like a massive fan of it, but its fan base is just like absolutely like ridiculous. When it comes to people who are just put it this way, they're people who you probably wouldn't want to be around in real life. And then, like I said, all the things about Dan Harmon, some of the things that he said over the years. I mean, this is a guy who had that famous rant where he was talking about Nazis are taking over because of Trump, and he like went on like that whole diatribe he went on about how Nazis and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, that was around the time that video came out there, so that's been a bit questionable too. But to hear that the other creator is apparently a domestic abuser, that he has at least some kind of shady history in his past, doesn't really surprise me, because people who speak out the loudest seem to have the most to hide, especially in a place like Hollywood. So yeah.
Then you got the fans that were going nutso inside of McDonald's for the Szechuan sauce. Oh my God, those people are fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And then you got the Pickle Rick people. I mean, the fandom is just so freaking psycho.
Yeah, I don't, and I've said it before on this podcast, I don't have much of a relationship with Rick and Morty. I mean, I've seen a few episodes. It's not really my thing. I'm much more like, I grew up with Family Guy. Like, I think the premiere episode was I was 10. So, that American Dad, certainly The Simpsons, South Park, I'm certainly a lot more familiar with, but, it sounds like this guy has some issues going on at home and should take care of that. But I don't know. I don't think it's what the fans want. I think the fans are weird. So I pretty much have nothing to offer here, but it had its run, right? Like it was a top show for its run, and now it seems like that's over.
Johnson, I know you had something to speak out about this. What was your thoughts on the way this whole thing's played out?
Oh, well, in general, I feel like if you're going to write a TV show anymore, you should have like a specific, like you should plan it all out, and you should like write it, because like on average, like most TV shows should end after 5 seasons, and that's being generous,
I think 5 seasons is a good cap for any television show, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Well, like the Matt and Trey, here's the thing with the South Park mentality that I really respect Matt and Trey for. Their mentality going into every episode is that they're writing it like it's their last episode, and that's how more writers should be going into it. So that way they can produce the best episode that they can.
I've talked about this in the panel as well, that back in the day, like Disney Channel is a good example of this. They used to have like a 65 episode limit for all of their shows. So no matter how successful a show got, like you can only do 65 episodes and you're done. So usually that would average for about 3 seasons, and then you're in and out. If you look at a lot of shows, like a lot of UK shows have this formula, well, they'll only do like 10 episode seasons, and they'll only be around maybe about 3 or 4 years before they pull the plug. So it's a very kind of in and out style of making there. And then look at a lot of the best shows that you could possibly think of, shows like The Wire, shows like Breaking Bad. These are not shows that went on for several years over and over and over again. It's like they pretty much knew where they were going to start, knew where it was going to go, knew how it was going to end. They got in and got out, and the quality was much better because of it, rather than having these shows that go on like The Walking Dead for 15 years, and you're sitting here saying that, well, I stopped watching after season 4. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the way that these shows run nowadays.
Well, I mean, look how well some shows do in just syndication anyway. I mean, like Friends is still on, like, good part of the day, in the middle of the day. So,
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to like touch on is like Rick and Morty is basically a show that's kind of like fully embraced the nihilism approach, and it's kind of awful and ironic to have them kind of come to this kind of end where it's not even the creator that's running it anymore. It's like this skin stripped form that they're going to push through, and I think that's You gotta love the dramatic irony of it all, I guess. And I will say this is the downside of self-inserts too, is that if you have a bad ending, your show's not going to turn out very well either.
And
I
not
feel like
only
it's kind
that,
of appropriate, though, considering that's something that, if you think about it, that's kind of something that would happen in Rick and Morty, is that Rick would be just like, screw it, and just leave and have someone else do it. He'd be totally over it.
I'll say this: a lot of people have been noting that apparently in the last few episodes, not episodes but seasons, I guess, of Rick and Morty, there was a disturbing increase of a lot of incest jokes happening on the show, and it was to the point where people started, even like the fans of Rick and Morty, started to notice it and be like, okay, like what's going on? Like one episode is fine, but it's kind of become a recurring theme where maybe somebody should start asking some questions. And hey, maybe you should start asking some questions about the people who run a lot of these shows, because just because they're on television doesn't mean they're not questionable individuals here. So yeah.
Part of me thinks that they just wanted to get the show canceled. That's what it seemed like to me. I think they were getting sick of it because they were making fun of the fans and all that shit, because they didn't, the fans wanted them to take it more seriously, and it seemed like to me they didn't want to take it more seriously. They wanted to just like have fun, and they weren't having fun anymore.
Yeah.
Never been a fan of Rick and Morty. My best friend loves it. And it's one of those things where it's like background noise whenever she puts it on. But look, man, if this dude did what he did, hey, you got it coming to you. But it's one of those things where it's kind of hard for me to really say, is it appropriate to be taken away from your brainchild when you've been accused of something? And then, because it's like, if they're not, I don't know if this person is guilty or not. I don't really know the details behind this. It seems like it's pretty serious. But in regards to this, it's kind of weird. It's like, should this person be taken away until they at least clear their name, or like, or it's their child, it's their brainchild. So I don't really know how to go about that from a libertarian perspective.
I think they shouldn't be. I don't think it's an innocent until proven guilty thing. They shouldn't be taken away from it until they had their day in court. But in this era, it's guilty till proven innocent, unfortunately.
I agree.
And
it's like, and if modern day wasn't like that, it's like I would have a different, like, I would feel less like confused about how to do that, because in regards to like any sort of situation, like if you're running a ship and there's something that's really messed up behind the scenes that's happening in your life that's affecting you from being able to run the ship, maybe perhaps it is the right thing to do to step down until that's handled. Or I don't know, like it's to me it's muddy waters. I have no true legitimate answer what's best. I guess it is situational at the end of the day. But
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I would just say that if he entered into a contract with who's Rick and Morty through Cartoon Network, I don't. I literally don't know. But if he entered into a contract that has a morals clause to it, I mean, I'm sorry that and I'm not saying it's his fault. It's his lawyer's fault, whatever. But that's not necessarily the most protective thing, because you're opening yourself up to all kinds of things. If you're accused of something, you could lose access to your show, because they made the call. It was Cartoon Network's call to say, hey, we're just going to move forward without this guy. And they felt like people would accept that, I guess. But that's how I would look at it from a libertarian perspective, is just like he signed a contract. He entered into an agreement with his company. I agree that you shouldn't have something taken away from you, but it's also, I would imagine, under those stipulations. So it sucks if that's you and you're innocent. But it's just it is what it is at this point.
And one thing that I will say is that a lot of these guys, it's kind of like the Chris Hardwick situation. It's like they didn't really care much for people who got accused of things, but they were kind of like cheering that on, rah, until it happened to them. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, you guys, maybe we should have sympathy for people who are accused of certain things, especially without any due justice or whatnot. So I don't know. It's hard for me to feel too much sympathy for these guys. Like I said, I don't trust them too much, but it is what it is as far as that goes. So any final thoughts on the Rick and Morty situation here?
Yeah, I never gave mine.
All right.
First off, I do agree with Nerdigans Cassie. They do need due process. And here's the thing. I think that if people were smart in this case, what's this guy's name again?
Roland, something like that.
Well, Roland, here's the thing. If you're cleared of these charges, sue Cartoon Network or whoever is streaming your project, because that's called discrimination. First off, you have a right to defend your own project. You also have a right to defend your employment. Just because, a little bit court of public opinion, honestly, it is a cancerous thing. Court of public opinion is one of the dumbest things that have ever existed. However, people in Hollywood has let it become too powerful, as has the asshats in Washington. But yeah, if this guy did do it and he is convicted, okay, then he's an asshole and needs to be held accountable. However, if he didn't do it, you're bringing up a case that that is 3 years old. Yeah. So yeah, burden of proof is going to be harder to prove. So yeah, good luck on that. That's the thing. When I always say about these things, if you're going to freaking make an accusation, you better make sure you have rock solid proof, especially if it is years old. Because burden of proof, you need ironclad proof to prove these things.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that works well in a California court or wherever this court is being tried. But this dude seriously can bring, or it's a burden of proof is the accusers. They have to bring that. And if they don't, he's going to walk. Now, if he did it, then he needs to be held accountable. But also, I think that Rick and Morty is, like Cassie said, it's background noise. I have never seen a single episode. I've seen clips here and there. I mean, Lethal Lightning has a great clip of the wacky-haired scientist guy saying, well, that's retarded. I mean, I wish I had that clip for my stream. Because that's basically what this entire situation is. It's retarded.
Like I said, this whole situation, I think it just kind of stinks. But I mean, like, it's considering the people involved, considering the fan base involved, I'm just not passionate one way or another about it. Sucks for him, though. But I mean, hey, if he finds a way to get out of here, I'm pretty sure Hollywood would take him back. I mean, it's not like beating your wife is the worst thing that anyone in Hollywood has ever done. I'll just leave it at that one for now. But let's go ahead and jump over to another topic here about a TV show, a popular TV show that some of us on this panel actually like, Cowboy Bebop, because the creator recently slammed Netflix for doing an absolutely terrible adaptation of his show. I'm not sure if you guys caught this one. This is another one from Bounding in the Comics here. Spencer wrote this one, so blame him for all the spelling errors that you occur on this one. I said,
yeah, dude, you gotta tighten that shit up.
Yes, Spencer. Bitch.
Love you, buddy.
It says that the creator, okay, I'm just going to say Watanabe because I'm not even going to pretend like I can pronounce that name, that first name, admitted that he couldn't bring himself to suffer through one more scene of the streaming service that have left of Netflix's live action abomination of Cowboy Bebop. Now, I get it. He kind of looks like Spike, but I mean, everything else is just like, dude, what the hell were you even doing with this one? The veteran anime director shared his opinion of the widely panned, canceled in 3 weeks after its premiere, by the way, Netflix show. And then during a recent career retrospective interview with Forbes magazine, he pretty much explained his disapproval with the show. He said, for the new Netflix live adaptation, they sent me a a video to review and check. I started with one scene in the casino, which made it very tough for me to continue, which, one scene in, he was already done. I said I stopped there and I only saw that opening scene, he confessed. It clearly is not Cowboy Bebop. I realized that at that point that if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop, he added. I felt like that maybe I should have done this, although the value of the original anime is somehow far higher now than it was before. A lot of people still consider Cowboy Bebop to be their favorite anime series. Go watch all 24 episodes if you haven't already. He has shared his disdain for the Netflix adaptation. He also opened up about his general opposition to the Hollywood machine. Back on the Animatrix, I got to work with people in Hollywood, the director said. He says, working with those kind of people is always difficult because of this, this is because at the beginning, they promised me that I can do whatever I want. That was just lip service. Actually, there was a big altercation with a Hollywood producer on Animatrix. He mentioned he would always come with these stupid requests just so that he can identify his own contribution. As these requests were stupid and made no sense at all, I rejected all of them. Unfortunately, I could not win in this situation. I had to concede some of the things. I learned that this bitter experience, though, from subsequent projects, I became smarter at handling people who wanted to interfere. It said in that I would send very small corrections or adjustments just before the deadline that tended to work. So, like I said, obviously this guy is no big fan of Hollywood adaptations in general. In Japan, sometimes you get producers that are similar to American ones. You also sometimes find these good producers in America. The original producer of the Animatrix was a really good guy. He understood my work and didn't give me stupid requests. However, he had to leave because of family issues. His successor called Spencer Lamb was awful. Wow, shocker! Another guy named Spencer being awful. There's another one for you there. Cassie, I know you talked about this a little bit on your show. So, what's kind of your thoughts on the Cowboy Bebop creator basically slamming everything that he had on this Netflix abomination, as he called it?
Yeah, from the jump, I knew that this Cowboy Bebop Netflix adaptation was going to be garbage. It didn't take much to realize it. And I really personally don't think the individual that plays Spike resembles Spike at all, really. The outfit looks good, but he's too short. He's too fucking old. I'm sorry. I just refuse to accept it. But I'm so grateful that Watanabe just came out and just shit all over this thing in the most disrespectful, no fucks given way possible. This is what needs to happen more and more when Hollywood or whatever the fuck Netflix is supposed to be dares to go out of line and disrespect anime with these garbage adaptions that are clearly money grabs. I mean, bastardize American garbage, okay? Because we're already through with that. Do not mess with Japanese projects. And honestly, I hope that more creators in Japan or more of these companies, studios, whatever have you, refuses to allow Netflix and the West to bastardize the things that fans hold dearly to them. Normally, Japan respects their properties a little bit more on average, from what I've seen, than how the West does. They need to stop caving to the West. The reason, it's even with the same thing with video games. I try to explain the reason why we in America look to Japanese video games, Japanese entertainment entirely, is because we want to indulge in your culture, not our culture. Stop making things that's for us. Stop allowing things to be made that's for us. Make things how you would see it, your vision. And if it's genuinely good, we will love to indulge in it. We're trying to get away from garbage entertainment that has honestly is just a pile of dog shit everywhere in America. It's terrible. So thank you, Watanabe, for literally just hammering Netflix and hammering Hollywood. I think that a lot of us fans are grateful for that, because it's like a lot of these fake ass fans were trying to defend this series, this Netflix series. One of my all-time biggest video is saying Ed is not trans. So yeah, that I don't like that. And that was my big hit video on YouTube. And I got a lot of hate in the comments saying how Watanabe actually said this, and that. And it's just go fuck yourself. I don't want to hear it. You're not even real fans. Shut up. The fact that you would actually go out of your way to defend this garbage when clearly it's not even close to what Cowboy Bebop is in essence. It clearly is not made by fans for fans. No, it's not. So please, creators, protect your properties with your life. And if unfortunately they do escape you for whatever reason, have you, be Watanabe and absolutely hammer the shit out of the garbage that we unfortunately have to suffer through.
Well, Nerdigans, this is your wheelhouse. So what do you think about this whole thing?
Well, it kind of reminds me of what Toriyama did with Dragon Ball Evolution, but even harder. But well, with that, we got Dragon Ball Battle of Gods and now Dragon Ball Super out of that. So we'll see what Watanabe does. But I'm hoping something else that comes out of this is because Toei decided to have Hollywood bastardize Saint Seiya. Hopefully Kurumada comes out and calls Toei out for that fuckery, because Toei keeps bastardizing Saint Seiya with the CGI version that has really truly bastardized it by the gender swap and all that. And now this live action one, oh boy! And you think it's bad up here, like how the U.S.
Well, let me ask you.
Nah, the Latin America, it's even worse. Latin America loves anime more than the U.S. and
But let me ask you this: so if Netflix flops on this, whether they're doing like One Piece now, if they flop on this one, which everyone expects them to, but here's the problem: like, when are these like creators going to realize that, hey, maybe, I don't know, just don't go to Netflix with my adaptation needs, maybe go somewhere else, because clearly these guys have no idea what they're fucking doing. Like, what is it going to take for people to stop chasing? Yeah.
Let's be more specific with this. Don't go to American Netflix, because Japanese Netflix is a little bit different. Because Japanese Netflix, you have the Japanese creators working on this. And from what I've seen so far with what they've got done with Way of the House Husband live action adaptation, which is really good, and Alice in Borderlands has been decent. So it's not Japanese Netflix that's the problem.
Yeah.
Now, it's just American Netflix that's the problem. At least from what I've seen. Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, I think from what everyone is seeing, I think people can pretty much guess that they're the problem with this whole thing. But
well, the problem I'm worried about with One Piece, because a good chunk of the casting is good. It's just that I'm worried because they said they're gonna not make Sanji a simp, and it's like, dude, that's Sanji's fucking character. He's a simp, and you get all these tourists saying that, oh, it's going to be better that Sanji's not a simp. It's like, then you don't like One Piece, because Sanji's supposed to be a simp.
Literally, just go elsewhere for your entertainment. You clearly do not want to indulge in anime for what it is. You don't like it. So go the fuck elsewhere. Nobody is asking you to be upset about anime. If you don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah, I don't watch it at all.
Straight.
Just do what I do. Don't watch it. You know, you're not interested in it. You don't care about it. Don't bitch about it. It's what I do. I avoid it completely. Anyway,
it's the same thing with Nami. And like that people are worried that Nami's not going to have like the big chest, and people are like, "Oh, it's a good thing because Nami's underage." It's like, mofo. Like, really? Why are you watching this? Why are you watching this? I have to deal with this constantly. The anime fandom has to deal with this constantly from, I think they're mostly 18 to 24-year-olds bitching about underage characters and calling everyone pedos. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you defending these fictional characters? Go away.
All right. Should I go ahead and just jump our buddy in to see to get his, I guess you can say, unbothered attention here? Rick, what do you think about Cowboy Bebop with no context whatsoever?
I've heard of it, and
it's not bad for a boomer.
I'm not sure I've seen any episodes either of the original anime or the Netflix adaptation. I don't have much of an opinion on the subject, except that if you're going to adapt the source material, try to stick close to it, because that's what the fans liked. I don't think there's anything wrong with a live action version of Cowboy Bebop if you decide to stick with the way the creators brought it about. That's the whole point of an adaptation. We've seen this with Velma. It just brings back the ideas that they think that they're doing something new and creative. They're not. They're only making it worse. They're alienating old fans, not bringing in new fans. Same with Cowboy Bebop. They're alienating old fans and not bringing in new fans. And that's one of the reasons it failed. That's
And
just
they're
my
alienating
Protect your IP, people.
exactly.
Well, it was to the point
Here's
where
a
they
good
alienated the
question.
director. Like they alienated the creator, and I do not blame him for being pissed. From what I saw, and one of the key characters that was they tried to make like this really femme and glamorous character who was really traumatized. Ren, it's like, really, you're gonna do that to Gren? Why would you?
Well,
do
Yeah,
that?
I remember the whole thing with Ren, how they were gonna make him. They'd like, oh no, we should identify him with trans and take away his whole tragic backstory because he identifies more with us. I'm just like, whatever, guys. Yeah, go ahead and try to make Ed non-binary, whatever weirdo shit you guys want to
It's
do.
so
It's like,
creepy with Grendo because it's like the reason why he has what he has is because he had no choice. Like,
yeah, it wasn't because he was born that way. Let's just put it
yeah,
that.
but he was literally imprisoned, and he was forced to deal with things that are illegal. Like these things shouldn't happen to people.
He was
This is
essentially
forced upon
tortured.
him. Yes, he wasn't like he didn't consent to any of this. Like, do you not believe in the concept of consent? Fucking weirdos, man.
I will say this one. I will say this one here before we jump over to our next topic. I just want to say this. I know there's an argument going on in the chat about what's better, Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball GT. All I'm going to say is that it was you guys spending years complaining about how bad GT is how you got Super. And then Super ended up being far worse than GT. So until you guys acknowledge that GT was always better than Super, I don't want to hear your complaints, Josh. So I'm just going to get that out there.
Oh God! Now I do want to say this though. It's the funniest thing ever is that you see these the trans activists. They're claiming like the worst characters. They're trying to claim characters that have been abused, that have been groomed, that have obviously been experimented on, or that are villains. And it's like, what are you doing? There's good trans characters, but you want to claim like these people like Bridget or Giselle or Yamato, and then with Yamato they want to say that Kaido respects her pronouns. It's like, or his, they say his, but it's like, dude, he put bombs on her to prison Yamato on Onagashima, and you want to say this shit? Like, come on.
By the way,
Here's a better question.
don't interrupt me as I'm yelling at Josh. I like yelling at Josh. You're not going to take that away from me. So,
Well, here's a better question. Why the hell would anybody want to do a live action adaptation of anime? Because one, you're automatically dropping the quality of the content by doing so. You can never, or these are shows in which people are moving extremely fast. Good luck trying to add or adapt stuff like that without making it look so campy. Good luck doing any of that they tried doing it with Dragon Ball Evolution. God, awful show or movie. They are sadly desecrating Yu Yu Hakusho next, and I'm wondering why that hasn't, or the original anime hasn't dropped on Netflix yet, because if they're getting the rights to do the damn live action, they should at least have the rights to put the original shit on there.
Well, I imagine the reason. Oh, sorry. I imagine the reason that they're doing all these remakes is for the same reason that you're having all these Disney movies, animated movies, being remade. It's all about the money. It's all they think people will watch the same thing.
Waste of money.
There's two reasons.
The shit is failing.
Yeah, but they don't learn.
There's two reasons. One is there's the money factor, and two, it's because there's the stigma that anime and cartoons are only for kids, and that is the same case in Japan as well. So you have that going on.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. It's not like we had anyone who recently came out and said that anime is satanic or anything like that. So, I mean, I think you're just being silly.
Oh, look, we got George Lucas in the chat.
But I will say this as well, in regards to live action adaptations, I'm going to say this. Kingdom's live action adaptation is way better than its anime. And same with Tokyo Ghouls. It just depends on who is working on it. With Kingdom, the actual mangaka is working on Kingdom's live action adaptation and is nowhere near the anime adaptation at all. And it is incredible. And Spencer knows it because he has watched both of them, and the third one's going to be freaking epic as well.
Well, I'm just going
to
say real quick. I'm with Orange Hat on this. I'm still waiting for the live action adaptation of Akira and Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't think either of those projects would really match to the originals, because those are just stand on themselves.
First off, okay, imagine if you will for a moment in 2023, Misato kissing Shinji in live action. I would yeet myself out of a fucking window. Okay, I never ever want to see this ever.
There's a reason why anime should never be adapted.
I understand totally why it happens in the anime, but it'd be so weird to see that in live action. But I was it Satoshi Kon that said like what makes like animation so great and why he personally wanted to remain in animation instead of like, you know, taking his work to like the live action screen, was that he can control every single frame of art to his advantage. And I believe that is him.
And the thing is, here's
not anymore. Not in the anime industry anymore.
Sadly,
like
I mean,
20 years.
That's the thing. That's the thing about anime is also you got to contend with characters that are kind of ride the acceptable line in American culture and whatnot. Because yes, Japan sometimes does like to play it loose with certain things, shall we say. And honestly, they have had characters that are consider or look extremely young, yet they say that they're actually above the age. And it's like, you put that in any sort of adaptation, you're definitely going to get in, or you're definitely not going to be able to do it the way they did it.
That's extremely situational, but more so like even expanding upon that. It's just that like when it comes to art versus like, you know, art as an actual, you know, animation versus like, you know, real life live action, things that are drawn in animation are able to be expressed the way the creator wants to, whereas with like live action, it's like you can do things the exact same way, but it doesn't necessarily translate in a way that's not laughable. To be honest with you, it's just some things that's done in anime that I think are absolutely beautiful and moving and perfectly executed. And I know if they were brought to like a live action setting, I would laugh my fucking ass off or just say, "Oh my god, please make it fucking
live action
stop."
does limit you to how the what the actor looks like, to what the sets look like. With anime and animation in general, you're not limited by any of that. You're free to create all sorts of things. So there's a limitation to a live action adaptation. Oh, and just real quick, just out of curious, has there been a live action adaptation of Lupin the Third, or am I wrong?
I don't remember if there has been. Has there been one? I don't think there has been one.
Because that might be the only one that I think could be plausible. But again, I'd have to see.
Oh, you'd be surprised. Tokyo Revengers, a live action adaptation, is which is a delinquent series, is really good too. It's incredible. I don't know if I would say it's as... Nah, I think it might be better than the anime. That's saying a lot.
There you go.
Well, I will say this couple of things. One, at least we don't have to worry about them ever ruining Death Billiards, because that's never going to get it in live action adaptation. And then two, I just wanted to point out how our cast is lovely shuffled this week. We have men on the top, we have women on the bottom, and then there's Rick. So let's move on to our next conversation here. Speaking of hack creators ruining properties that people care about, let's talk about your boy, Rob, David Cohen, because he got recently called out for an adaptation that he did because apparently he doesn't really give too much of a craps about the project we're talking about here. This is a Apple TV adaptation of, what's this, Time Bandits. Yeah, Time Bandits creator Terry Gilliam, poorly upset and unhappy with Taika Waititi because his disdain for the entire project was quite obvious. So, according to a new whisper, renowned comedian and entertainer Terry Gilliam is not happy with Taika Waititi, aka David Cohen, with his adaptation for the 1981 film Time Bandits. And it says here that he produced and directed by Gilliam, would feature a script that was co-written by himself and fellow Monty Python member Michael Palin. Time Bandits follows the story of Kevin, a young history buff who ends up falling in a group of 6 thieves. With the assistance of a special map, they sail throughout time, stealing various treasures from the past. So, however, the lighthearted rump eventually takes a turn for the deadly when the villainous and manipulative evil sets its sights on the map, intent on using it for its own dark purposes. With the fate of the world in his hands, Kevin and the Time Bandits vow to keep the map away from evil at all costs, collecting treasures and stories are all around the way. Now, that's a pretty decent setup, but in last September, actually, Apple announced that they had officially greenlit a 10-episode television adaptation of this series, that they had tapped Taika Waititi to be the executive producer and direct the series. It says, while audiences no doubt rolled their eyes at the prospects of another Waititi-led cringe fest, especially if you watch Thor: Love and Thunder, it turns out that one of the biggest critics was Gilliam himself. Per an alleged crew member who spoke to World of Wheels, Jordan Rumi said that Gilliam abruptly ended and walked off the set of the series back in last December after finding himself massively disappointed with the way that David Cohen handled his original vision. He wasn't happy. He kept groaning and making remarks. Terry was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. He left after 3 days. That's usually a good sign. His disdain for the entire project is quite obvious. They added, you won't be hearing any praise for this series from him anytime soon. As of this writing, neither Gilliam, Waititi, or any of representatives have commented on the rumor, but they said that that the Time Bandits has not received an official release date. It seems like people are finally just having enough of David Cohen's bullshit. So, Rob, I'm going to start this one out with you. What is your thoughts on essentially Time Bandits being ruined by this talentless hack?
Yeah, well, it's great because this is not the reason I love Terry Gilliam. Okay, so Terry Gilliam made 2 key films of my childhood. One of them is Time Bandits. It's an absolutely great fantasy movie, classic. If you have not seen it, please go watch it. It's great. But the other one is this movie called The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which is lesser known, but it's another great sort of like child fantasy adventure movie. Tall Tales, that kind of thing. But so I love Terry Gilliam. He helped Quentin Tarantino get Reservoir Dogs made and got it more money. He even went to bat for Stanley Kubrick, saying that Schindler's List was basically, was kind of like not the great film everybody makes it out to be. And anyway, so I love Terry Gilliam all on his own for all of those reasons. This is just the cherry on top, though. The fact that like he kind of had to work with Taika Waititi, and the process lasted 3 days. Like, Terry Gilliam is a man that does not put up with bullshit. And so I understand if he contractually can't say anything, because he's part of this project. I think it's great. I do not like Taika Waititi. I don't like anything he's done. I think that he has a very childlike, infantile sort of relationship with the art form. He and everything he's made isn't terrible. His last couple movies, though, have been really just impossible pieces of crap.
Yeah.
Like that I forget what the movie's called, but something of the Were People. Like that was kind of cute.
Isn't it Hunt for the Wilder People?
Wilder People or something. I don't know. It's a New Zealand movie. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's not terrible, but it doesn't seem like he's interested in giving fans what they want. So this is something, again, Willow is another one. I know. I don't think he's involved with that one, but they're trying to recreate these sort of fantasy stories from the 80s. And none of them seem very good. So, right. They're just making them worse. So, and this all comes down to Hollywood being out of ideas. So it doesn't surprise me. I don't know why they're going to Taika Waititi. Maybe it's because he's been successful with things like What We Do in the Shadows. And some of the things he's been associated with have been successful. Like I think Jojo Rabbit was at least nominated for an Oscar. I can't remember if it won anything like for screenplay.
It won for its screenplay.
Screenplay, yeah. Okay, see that, and that's I was thinking maybe that was it.
And it sucked too.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of that movie. I think it's, while being not very good, it's just completely misguided in its execution. So, not a fan of Taika Waititi. Glad to hear his projects are failing. And Terry Gilliam, big fan.
Well, I would have first imagined that Rob's other Gilliam movie would have been Brazil. I imagine that's what he would have enjoyed as a child.
No, I didn't see that one until I was like 25. So
yeah.
No, I get it. No, I just like to picture that. That was your bedtime story.
Yeah.
I think that Gilliam, like all the original creators, are very protective, or should be very protective of their material. And he was watching Taika Waititi maybe make a mockery of it. So of course he's going to be upset, and I don't blame him. I just wonder again, and I've said this repeatedly, who is the target audience? Why do all of these creatives insist on reshaping things to fit their quote own vision? They're constantly being rejected. We've gone through Velma. We just talked about Cowboy Bebop. All of the creative all the people who made this, who made the original source material, always reject the reimagining, remake, what have you. Who is this Time Bandits series going to appeal to? Is it going to appeal to the old fans? Highly doubtful. It's not going to bring in the new fans. We've had this also with Rings of Power. We've had this with other series. I mean, it's, again, who is the target audience? Why are you deciding to reinvent the wheel? No one is asking for a shot-by-shot remake of Time Bandits, but why are we delving into this? Just create something original. Again, we go to Willow. Rob mentioned Willow. Do you think anyone's going to be excited? Oh, the princess is a lesbian, and Willow's basically a minor character in this whole shebang.
Of course he is.
Yes, in more ways than one. But
wow. Boom.
Thank you. Again, always, whenever you try to remake something or you just create something, you have to have in the back of your mind, who is your target audience? What are you trying to say? Are you trying to expand on the universe, or are you just trying to remake it in the way you, the new creative force, wants it to be made? You're not honoring the original. You're almost making fun of it. Taika Waititi is vastly overrated. I hated Jojo Rabbit. I pretty much have disliked the last two Thor movies. Well, I mean, Ragnarok wasn't terrible. I haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows, but at least that was an original idea, I presume, from him. So it's not something that he's adapting from others. Just create your own. Just create your own material. That's my bit there.
Johnson, let me ask you this: would you trust Taika Waititi to do a live action adaptation of Fat Girl? Would you trust him at this point?
If I could get a shot collar for him, maybe. I don't know. He might enjoy that though. So, well, you know what? If I had to, I'd be like, look, you're not a woman, and you can't have these womanly experiences of being like an abandoned daughter by your mother and wanting to be a model just like her, and eating radioactive donuts. I don't honestly know if he's ever done that. So there's nothing that you can really add to the experience.
Are you saying that he can't identify with the character, so he shouldn't be allowed to write it?
Right. Yep.
Well, I mean, maybe you might get lucky with Octavia Spencer.
Oh, no, I know who I'd pick if I had to pick a director for it.
No, he was talking about like an actual cast for Fat Girl. So Orange is already race swapping for a Fat Girl by casting a film. People who don't know, I'm finishing up the finale, by the way. So it's like, but no,
That Girl's a story about this half white, half Hispanic girl who basically grew up white and doesn't know anything Spanish herself, but like
Yeah.
pretends to because that's her thing in her group of friends is that she's part Hispanic. So she's got a black friend, she's got a German friend, she's got a girlfriend that wears glasses, and she's got the crush on the perfect lacrosse captain and stuff. And everything is ruined by the fact that her mother, who is basically a Hispanic version of Little Debbie, went off and left her and her dad. And her grandmother moves in, who's her dad's mom, and she used to work for the government. And it gets really insane after that. And it's really funny. So.
Are you going to cast Rita Moreno as the grandma?
And which director would you pick? You said you have someone in mind.
So I'd pick Bonnie Hunt. So I've consistently grown up with her work, and she's picked some really good films to direct and help with. And I think she'd be able to portray this bratty, very attractive looking teenage girl in a sympathetic light, but also still do the madness that it comes with age and grandma advice.
So the sister of Renee Zellweger and Jerry Maguire.
Is that
Bonnie
who that
Hunt?
is?
That's Bonnie Hunt.
Yeah,
that's
it?
Bonnie Hunt. Yes, it is,
Yeah.
and she should have been nominated for Jerry Maguire.
No, that was a terrible movie.
Oh, stop!
I've never seen the full movie of Jerry Maguire.
Okay, fair enough. She's in other things. I just, that's the best, the most commercial thing I could think of.
No. Well, I mean, my kids have been rewatching Beethoven. We love Beethoven.
I love Beethoven. I love that movie.
There's that movie where she's with David Duchovny and that lady with the curly black hair, and she gets the David Duchovny's wife's heart thing, and I cried at that. I was also a few hours after giving birth. So, but I'm like, yeah, you need somebody that can draw out the sympathy because she's this really bratty girl, but also still understand, like I said, the wisdom that comes with age and how when you grow older, things look differently and not everything deserves to be a punchline,
Yeah.
But yeah, I like I said, if I could get a shock collar on him, maybe I could have some. So
that's a yes.
More
that was a long way to get to a yes.
Be sure to ask for script approval and casting approval.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't sign away. I'd be like, I demand 90% creative control veto power. So.
Yeah. And there's we would never greenlight your shit. Then I guess you will never see it then.
Right.
That's okay with me though. I've long accepted that I'm really just strange, and people are never going to understand how awesomely awesome I am. And trying to capture that on film would be like.
Okay, I apologize for that, but no one needs to hear that whole last line.
You missed my whole shtick about trying to capture my personality on film, being spitting in the ocean and expecting a tsunami. So, yes, I'm talented.
Well, I'll say this: if you make an anime version of it,
I would love an anime version of it, frankly.
Yeah, make sure to put a plug in for your book in your chat there. But yeah, we're gonna jump over to our next topic here. This is one that's gonna get a lot of people heated. But this is the story about James Gunn finally announcing his lineup for his very shitty DCEU future. And there's a lot of talk about where the future of Warner Brothers and DC is going right now. And there's some people are pretty upset about some of the things that could potentially happen. That has been really announced, but potentially can happen here. So James Gunn finally announced what his slate for DC Studios is going to look like. There is going to be a new Batman film. There is going to be a new Superman film. There's also going to be a couple of other projects on the side here. But yeah, you have our good buddy James Gunn here did a video earlier today. I'm pretty sure if anyone who plays it, it'll get copyright strike. Because that's how Warner Media is.
Just get a sock puppet.
Yeah, exactly. So here's a pretty much breakdown what he's planning on over the course of the next, 4 or 5 years or whatever the case is. You have Creature Commandos, which is a series that I'm pretty sure no one has heard of because it's very, very obscure. But it's an animated series. There'll be 7 episodes written by Gunn, of course. It's reportedly in production. It says they originally a team of classic monsters that were assembled to fight Nazis. This will be a modern take of the concept. So there you go. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder who the new Nazis are going to be. That's something to all look forward to. So yeah, that's his first project. So we're off to a good start there. Then we're getting an Amanda Waller TV series. So Viola Davis is getting her own series playing the Amanda Waller character, which is basically just bootleg Nick Fury. So if you guys are really excited for that one.
This will get her the Oscar she was shamefully denied.
That story's coming around too, by the way. So just keep holding it for that
I
one.
want a picture of Nick Fury in the background, and it's like my dead husband or something. I really
We're gonna get a Superman Legacy movie coming out in 2 years, and Gunn hasn't decided whether he's gonna direct the film or not, but he will be heavily involved. It says we're hoping that James Gunn will direct it. Sanford said it's not an origin story; it focuses on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing. Superman represents truth, justice in the American way. He's the kindness in the world, and I think kindness of old fashioned. So you got a new Superman movie. Who knows who's gonna play? Who knows if he'll be gay or not? I guess you just have to wait and find out. Now, this is the one that we talked about this a little earlier today. This is the only one that I'm thinking of that could be good if they do it the right way. But there's apparently a series called The Lanterns, which is going to focus on both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. So, it's very interesting to see how the portrayal of this one's going to go, but it says the story of a couple of lanterns, Hal and Jordan, and a few other lanterns peppered in there. It says, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show where almost like True Detective with a couple of lanterns who are space cops watching over the precinct Earth. So I don't know. That sounds like Lethal Weapon to me. So maybe these two in a Lethal Weapon movie might be good. So, I mean, maybe that has the potential. You also have The Authority here, which, for what I was told earlier, is basically gay Superman and gay Batman. I'm not sure if that's comically accurate, but James Gunn revealed that The Authority is a passive project of mine. Shocker. It says that it's based on the marvelous Windstorm characters we are bringing to the DCU and will interact with primary DCEU characters. It says that the authorities are a group of superheroes who think that the world is broken and want to fix it by any means necessary. Oh, wow. I haven't heard that one before. It says that we think that this is a very different look on superheroes. So there you go.
Sure.
Yeah. Paradise Lost is another little project that he's working on. This is basically going to be his DCEU version of Game of Thrones based on the island that Wonder Woman was born from. So I wonder how many lesbians are going to be involved in that series. But no, that's another one that's coming out. The Brave and the Bold.
Lesbians be involved with that? They have to be in shape.
Yeah. The Brave and the Bold, which is going to focus on who James Gunn believes is his favorite Robin, Damian Wayne, Bruce's son, based on Grant Morrison's comic run. Damian Wayne is his favorite Robin, he says. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line. The story of the two of them at the beginning of the Bat family in the DCU. So I'm not sure if Robert Pattinson is playing this character or we're just going to have multiple Batmans involved with this. Booster Gold, which just seems like to me from the description is going to be their version of Homelander, because Booster Gold, according to James Gunn, is one of the comics' really popular cult heroes. He's a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day to become a superhero so that people will love him. And this is going to be a HBO Max series. So yeah, there's that if you're looking forward to it. And then you're going to get a Supergirl movie, Woman of Tomorrow, where it says now that Superman is the guy who was sent to Earth to raised by loving parents, where Supergirl is in the story is a character who was raised by on a chunk of Krypton and watch everyone around her perish in some terrible way, and she's a much more jaded character. So essentially it's going to be a series about an extremely bitter white woman. So that one should be a good one for you guys to watch on your own time. And then Swamp Thing, we're getting Swamp Thing. He basically said that this one's going to be a very dark horror story. So the Swamp Thing project that we've all heard so much about is happening. So that's kind of the rundown of all the projects that you guys have going there. Then people are asking, well, what about the main characters? What about Superman? What about Batman? What about Wonder Woman? Essentially, the door is open for anyone to return, including Ezra Miller. Except for Henry Cavill. He seems to be the only person who's not going to be involved in this thing in any way, shape, or form. So that's as much information as I have for you guys right there. I don't know who to start with this one. I'll start with Cassie. Did anything that I just said interest you for the future in the next 4 to 5 years?
To be completely honest, as you were discussing this, I completely ignored every single thing that you said. So therefore, no, nothing here impresses me or has me even remotely fucking interested. Next.
Okay, Rob, are you gonna watch that Supergirl movie in 5 years? Are you excited about that?
No.
No.
No. Listen. There were a few things that, under the right stewardship, leadership, I might be interested in or look into, like the Swamp Thing movie.
Yeah.
Look, it's been 40 years, something like that, since the Swamp Thing movie. Even the what is it, Batman Brave and the Bold? Like, I have those Grant Morrison comics. They're interesting. They're really. They're a little confusing, frankly. Like Batman dying and coming back, and Damian Wayne and all that. So some of the material is interesting, but as we saw with the Batman, when they took and ripped apart, Hush Volume 1 and 2 and The Long Halloween, like they're not very good at taking the material and turning it into something interesting in terms of a cinematic adaptation. So I have no faith that James Gunn, has a clear enough vision to be able to do that. I don't know that he gives a shit about any of these characters, or if he's just going to make a quote unquote entertaining comic book universe, whatever the fuck that means. So I'm pretty much with Cassie. I all of that goes in one ear and out the other. And a lot of it's just like, okay, how much subversion and transgression are we going to push to turn the women into men and turn the men power, basically into characters that are on the sidelines. So, I hope it's good just for, everybody's time and money. I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be a lot of the same bullshit.
Orange Hat, which character would you give if Ezra Miller's staying around? Which character would you make him in the future? You think he should be the new Superman? Or, I'm sorry, you think they should be the new Superman?
I'd give him the Gravedigger. Person who digs graves and then jumps in because he's useless. Anyway, as for James Gunn and his DCEU, I don't support pedophile projects, so I really don't have any skin in this particular topic.
Rick, are you excited about all these DC superhero comics that we have coming out for the future? There's all new movies and television projects that you're going to consume and you're going to love, right?
I want to know why the Green Lantern TV show does not have the half Mexican Green Lantern in it.
Give it time.
No. There, one of the Green Lanterns was a Kyle Rayner. He's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's the newest one, I think.
Yes, he discovered he's half Mexican. So I'm perpetually displeased that we're having Mexican erasure here.
Okay, but what was the first Green Lantern? Alan something? Wasn't he a white guy? So like,
they're all, well, I'm being a little facetious here.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not excited for any of these. Of course, I'm never excited for any of these projects. I don't know how they can top Supergirl, which had the first transgender superhero on their TV show, and then we found out her sister was a lesbian, and I don't know how they can top that. There doesn't seem to be anything interesting in all of this, but that Waller show, is that a TV show or a movie?
TV.
That's a TV show.
A TV show. Who's going to want to watch that? Who's going to want to watch
powerful women?
That person right there.
Powerful women, just like She-Hulk, right? It's gonna be no. And what Netflix did with Nurse Ratched, that's why I said this. Nurse Ratched 2.0 coming. That's what this Waller show is gonna be too.
Not unless Waller is able to travel back in time and join with the homie, so they could have the ultimate crossover. Then that might be interesting. But no, nothing here is interesting. And the worst part is, they've removed the few figures that people actually did like Henry Cavill and Superman. I don't know what the future is for the others, but none of this is appealing to me, and I will be very upset that they don't have the Mexican Green Lantern, because I want to be able to imagine myself with my own magical green ring, being able to take on evil.
Yeah, and get Whataburger after.
and get Whataburger after. That's right.
It
That's how
could have a
superheroes
sponsor.
roll. And
Yeah.
I will be. It'll be me and Shazam. We'll be hitting the Whataburger.
Nergans?
The only thing that could be interesting is Swamp Thing, but it depends on how it's done. Maybe Swamp Thing will be a transgender or non-binary at this point. I don't even fucking know. But I lost interest as soon as James Gunn got rid of Henry Cavill, because that was the only thing I wanted. I just wanted Man of Steel 2. That's all I wanted. And I've been waiting since the end of Man of Steel 1 to get it. And now I'm not getting it. I'm just done. I got Man. I got Boku no Hero Academia. I got Shy. I don't need this. So.
Yeah, and reading in between the lines of how he described a lot of these projects, there was a lot of red flags for me on pretty much everything that he discussed. So if those are the big projects that he's excited about, his passion project, I can only imagine what the big ones are going to look like. So, Johnson, anything to add here before we jump over to our next topic?
The best days of our lives are behind us as far as DCEU is concerned.
No, I thought you were talking about just life in general.
Oh.
Very pessimistic.
No, our best days are ahead, because I mean, like, the nice thing about all this stuff is that, like, the worse it gets, the better I look as a writer, and the less I have to try.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, no, I will say I wouldn't mind like a good show about Green Lantern. I liked the Justice League Unlimited series, and I think if you could get a good director, I mean, like, I like the DC animated universe much better than the live action movie stuff. So that's what my kids will be watching. Not this new stuff.
Sorry, I'm still hoping for a Legion of Doom TV
Yes.
series.
That could be fun.
Yes.
I'll stick to watching Super Friends. Thank you very much.
And I heard no mention of the Wonder Twins. Why aren't we getting those?
Super Friends, okay?
So not the wrestling tag team?
No.
No.
I think the most important thing to mention here is fuck Ezra Miller.
Oh, I thought you were going to say James Gunn, but yeah, him
should,
too.
Like, kill off the Flash. Wally West deserves his day. So
there was a tweet earlier this week that I had highlighted. It was basically saying that, DC hires all of these problematic people. And it was like, they had mentioned like Ben Affleck, who I guess his big thing is that he just exists as like a white guy who's gone through depression and child support or something like that. And then everyone else like, oh yeah, Gal Gadot, she can't be involved in this because of how problematic she is. It's like, yeah, she's so problematic because she just born in Israel and actually defends the country that she was born and served in. It's like, she's not like one of these people who were like born here to defend Israel. Like, she's actually from there, but how dare she not denounce her own country like Natalie Portman did. We need more Natalie Portmans in the world, not Gal Gadots. And then of course, Henry Cavill is like this weirdo white incel. People even tried to call him an incel, like unironically, like that was a thing. Like, do you really think that Henry Cavill has a problem with women? Do you think that in your mind unironically? Like, I don't think that that's the case. But, you know, there's a lot of weirdo shit going on. And then this guy also got thrown under the bus this week. Zachary Levi came out against Pfizer just, I believe, on the same day that he announced that his father had passed away days earlier. So there's a little interesting story happening here. We haven't had the full fallout from it yet. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what he wrote here. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what he wrote here first. This will give you some context about what exactly happened of the story. This came out 2 days ago, right before he made the comments specifically regarding Pfizer. But he made this announcement on his Instagram page saying that many of you guys have been asking for an update on my dad, Daryl. Though he fought villainly to the end, Pops passed away peacefully a couple of days ago, surrounded by his friends and family. Watching anyone slowly die of cancer is one of the worst experiences I can attest to. But knowing that he's no longer trapped in his decaying body, now singing karaoke in heaven, gives me so much peace and joy. That knowing that many of you were continuously sending him love, thoughts, and prayers gives me even more faith in humanity. I know he felt he appreciated, as did our whole family. Thank you for this overwhelming support and kindness through a very difficult time. Sending you love and prayer. Love and light. back. So that was the point that he made 2 days ago when this whole thing started. But what got him attention is that during that same day, I believe, he made these tweets, which got him a lot of backlash with the far left. He was responding to someone here saying that, do you agree that Pfizer is the real danger to the world? And then he quote tweeted and says, hardcore agree. So then he also referred to this statement here, saying that one example to the things that I'm referring to is that just one, which is a 2009 Justice Department announcement saying that Pfizer is paying the largest healthcare fraud settlement in history. So pointing that out. But clearly, because of what was happening in our country right now, there's a lot of people say that you can't be against Pfizer or Moderna in any way, shape, or form because that means you're anti-vax. It's very, very hilarious to me. All of these people who not too long ago were super against Big Pharma and now pro Big Pharma every step of the way. And then this was a presentation here from what is this? The Central Committee, a political body, which was responding to Levi's Pfizer comments. And this is what they wrote. So this is kind of the mindset of the people here are thinking here. It says that the Levi Pfizer controversy has had so many people resurfacing a clip of the actor on the Joe Rogan Experience, expressing his admiration of Jordan Peterson. Oh God, here we go with Jordan Peterson again. The right-wing all-meat diet assessed health guru. I don't understand what that was supposed to be a shot at. He says that Levi called Peterson one of the deepest thinkers he's heard break down human behavior. Notably, that episode was released not long after Peterson had been suspended for Twitter for his anti-transgender comments about actor Elliot Page. In the clip, Levi does not correct Rogan after the host dead names Page. I mean, really, that's your concern? Like I said, this is the mind of the people who wrote this. Again, this is not the first time that Levi was called out for his public political views. In 2018, he was chastised for a tweet regarding white men leading conversations about racism and sexism, saying that men cannot have meaningful conversations about sexism, that white people cannot leave meaningful conversations about racism is both sexism and racist. So he was correcting what the progressives were saying. Truth does not care about your privilege, nor do those who seek it. Back in 2020, Levi ruffled feathers with social justice posts where he appeared to be sympathizing with Trump voters days after Joe Biden's presidential victory. Levi wrote, I hope and prayer that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris answers that very call in the same way that I hope and pray that Donald Trump would do the same. So this whole post, this whole thing is basically saying that if you read all of these instances here in the last few years, Zachary Levi is a right-winger. He needs to be canceled, especially now that he's come out against Pfizer of all things. So the Escapo is going on here. They go on and on and on about now how with Shazam coming around the corner, I believe it's like 2 months away, how he's problematic, that he shouldn't be allowed to come back to the DCEU because of these comments. These are the type of people that you're dealing with here. So long story short, his father passed away from cancer. I can't say whether he's expressing some of his views against Pfizer because of his father's cancer. You can only leave that to be speculation. But now that he's publicly come out against the company, now everyone hates him now. They want him to be deleted, just like Ezra Miller, because their crimes are apparently the same. I'm going to start with Orange Chat here. What do you think about essentially the fallout here with Zachary Levi coming out against Pfizer?
I think it's beautiful to behold because people are losing their minds over the dumbest stuff. I mean, he has an opinion. He's allowed to have it. He brought receipts to back up his inability to support this company. As a person who has spoke out against Pfizer myself, for very personal reasons. I fully support him in his statements. Zach Levi may be an idiot in other ways, but in this one, I fully agree with him.
Yeah. Rob, what do you think about this story here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily a fan of the actor Zachary Levi. I know wasn't he in that show Chuck?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think I remember premiering like after the Super Bowl one year, and like whatever, like he's fine. And Shazam was okay. It wasn't my cup of tea, even if I realized it was still probably above average comparatively. to what Marvel puts out every year, and it was an okay movie. I'm really happy. I'm really happy that like somebody who's in Hollywood, who's a bankable actor, came out and at least gave some credence to doubting the vaccine, or at least giving having some skepticism to the discourse we've had over the last 3 years. I mean, at every turn, I don't know about you guys, who didn't get vaccinated or whatever your personal situation is, but I felt personally vilified. I felt alienated. I felt like I was persona non grata, public enemy number one. Just, I mean, like discriminated against in how the media covered anybody that dared not be vaccinated, as if the like right as an individual is gets trumped by some notion of public health. Like, what I'm saying? It's just like complete nonsense. So I'm glad that finally people are starting to speak out about this. Even the people that have money on the line, have future income, have future projects that are possibly going to be impacted by this. I love that he actually stood up and made a statement, even if it was just like a vague Twitter reply that you still knew was going to get a whole bunch of shit for it, because that's how Twitter is. You get that overreaction, even if it's just like, I agree.
Cassie, what's your thoughts on this story?
Well, I mean, it's good that Zachary Levi is giving his personal opinions that differ from what the mob says. I mean, there needs to be a lot of discourse, especially when it comes to health related situations. And just like Rob, I didn't fucking get the jab and I refused to. And it's like, you are treated as though you're a fucking leper, you're evil, you're gonna kill grandma, like all this fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things where, the news, the media gasses up people to hate you just simply because you're saying like, I don't really trust,
Pfizer with my life.
Yeah, I don't trust these major corporations. I don't trust something that was just produced fairly recently and hasn't been put through proper testing. I don't trust people that tell me take it or else naturally. And so it's, I wish that he wouldn't be attacked for this. I wish that I wouldn't be treated the way I was treated for this. I wish I didn't miss out on opportunities just simply because because I didn't get the jab. This is stuff that's completely unfair and wrong. And when someone like Zachary Levi does come out and say this, I do feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's important for people to see like how these mob tactics work, and the fact that Zachary's a big name brings attention to this, and it needs to stop. It really sucks, and I don't know. It's just I'm tired of this. Like I openly say, the response to COVID broke me as a human being. I have less belief and love for the human race than ever before, and it's because of evil motherfuckers like we're seeing before us. I'm sorry, but I don't care anymore. I have such disdain for people that want to take power over my own body away from me. Like, this is evil, and I don't care if anyone disagrees. I don't give a fuck anymore.
And I think what the sad part is that what the whole COVID experience proved over the last few years, even before the whole thing with the vaccine, was even just with the lockdowns, is that we just have a large population, a large populace that are just very easy to control them, very easy to scare them into doing exactly anything that you want to do. Like, these were the same people who were attacking people at grocery stores because they weren't wearing masks, and in their mind, they were a threat to them, because if you're not wearing a mask, you're spreading COVID. Like, people got whipped into an hysteria, which we're still doing with to this day. It's absolutely just insane to me. But yeah, I mean, it's a sad look on a lot of things here. Rick, what do you think?
Well, yes, I mean, the reason that all these people are upset at Levi is because they see Pfizer as literally saving their life or saving lives. That back to that, but if it saves just one life, and there's a reason I keep saying it, is because people will justify all sorts of things under that idea.
Yeah.
The lockdowns, for me, the furlough, the attempted layoffs, all of those are justified under but if it saves just one life, even if it's like this 95-year-old person who got COVID and fortunately recovered. I think that people are just fixated on that because it's Pfizer. They equate Pfizer with saving lives, and for some reason they think that they're doing it out of the kindness of their own heart. For me, I chose to get the vaccine, but again, it was my choice. I decided that. For all people who did not get the vaccine, I support your right not to get the vaccine. I support your right not to be forced into wearing masks. And even with the vaccine, I got yelled at the stores for not wearing the mask or for not keeping that 6 feet. I mean, it was insane. But again, you can frighten people into anything, and they will justify it. It's a scary thing. I don't think Levi should be canceled, and I don't think he will. I mean, honestly, I'm just amazed that people would go through all these hoops and ladders to say, oh, Zachary Levi, we can't have him anymore as Shazam. But oh, the guy or the person who was having cults, sex cults and
Yeah.
assaulting people. Oh no, he's fine. But oh, Zachary Levi doesn't like Pfizer, and suddenly he's like the new Hitler or worse than Hitler.
It's even worse that all these people tried to like group up like Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot and Zachary Levi with Ezra Miller as if they've actually committed like actual crimes. Like they've literally done absolutely nothing but have opinions that you guys didn't like. But in their minds, like they're all one and the same. It's like, come on, guys.
I think one of the reasons that people didn't like this very much is because he was. It really does show the kind of like false contrast that comes with like the narrative, the various narratives of today.
Mhm.
Like population control because of climate change is a big issue. So
Yeah.
in some instances, why are you trying to save grandma's life? Especially now that we've got MAID in Canada, and and if aren't I supposed to be a good person? If I'm promoting this stuff
Yeah.
and then he called out the fact that they've had several lawsuits. They've had a lot of issues, and of course there is all the Fauci files and stuff like that have been kind of dumped out on Twitter the last couple of weeks, and all these things that came out about how he's tortured puppies and he's supported the gain of function stuff, and I mean like it's one of those things where it really makes people who just want to be good people really confused. And if you are confused, you get angry because you don't want to be confused. You just want to be a good person. So.
Yeah. And Dirty Guns, I should let you make your point before I finish up here.
Well, I was going to say, I did not get the shot because, and I had to defend myself on this, because I, unlike the majority of people, followed the medical science, the actual research. And I knew what shot I wanted, and that was Novavax, which is a protein-based shot. And it is approved. It's just not where I'm at yet. Once it's available, I will get it. And I've been pressured by my family to get it. And I said, no, I'm not. I'll do what I need to do. If I need to mask up, I'll mask up if I need to. But Sacramento, where I live, guess what? The laws are very lax here. So it's great that I don't have to, it's not as strict as other places. And when I've gotten into fights with people online, or I'm sorry, more like debates with people online, I'm like, look, I know what I want. It's not like I'm going to not get vaxxed. It's just I've done the research. I know what I want. Quit bugging me. Go live your own life. And they back off. And that's what you need to do. And if people are going to be a complete asshole to you, just block them. The block button is fantastic. And the other thing I realized, and again, it's part of being in the protest community, unfortunately, I had to deal with this the most, is that because I'm a Jew, both sides hate me. So I'm just like, fuck it. I don't give a shit what any of these people think. I'll just think what I want to think. I don't need to join any flock of sheep, which have been there, which were there long before COVID. They have their hysteria. They will always have that hysteria. You see, and you guys saw the protest that I put in the group chat over the weekend. That hysteria gonna be there no matter what, whether there's COVID or not. And they will riot, they will loot, and all that shit. So it's not gonna change. These are the same people that, as I said earlier, that are going to do anything to protect a fictional character over anything else, over a real person. They don't give a fuck. They really don't. So they're just trying to get some outrage and attention, and they want to bring somebody else down, someone that is richer than them and living a better life than them because they're envious. So
Yeah.
Oh, if I
I will
could
say,
have-
like-
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's very it's like socially acceptable to be like I'm mad at movie stars too. Like it's an easy sort of like outlet, and it's acceptable because you know, and I mean, like, what are you supposed to be mad at today? I mean, like there's only a handful of things that you can safely be mad at, and I think that also kind of draws attention anyway. So.
Well,
the other thing I do, there's one other thing I want to point out that I do mention in these debates, and you should mention them too, is with these shots, it was said long before they were even implemented that they were only going to work for 6 months at a time, and you were going to have to get multiple shots, period. It was said like 6 months, what was it? Like 6 months before they were implemented. Yeah, like at least 6 months before they were implemented. I remember watching it like on a UC Davis stream. They were talking about how you were going to have to get shots like every 6 months to maintain it. And they said that it was mainly the people that really needed it the most were people that were vulnerable, or if you were like taking care of vulnerable people. If you're a healthy person and you're not immunocompromised, you don't need it. So that's why I never listened to Fauci. Well, I'll compare it to like what I saw in my research, but I didn't really listen to what Fauci said. I just did my own research. And that's why like when people bitch at me, I'm just like, dude, why are you just listening to the media? Go do your own research and shut up.
Well,
Yeah.
I know. I was more, I guess, supportive of vaccines, and probably because I think the question popped up. Why did I get it? I might have. I can't really remember if there was a specific reason. Probably family pressure, and I was concerned for my 80-year-old uncle and 85-year-old aunt. So I wanted to be a little more careful around them.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the cynicism really kicked in when you had a few things. First, the white coats for Black lives. When you had all of these doctors deciding that mass protests were fine, for to oppose racism, but my mom's friends could not gather to mourn her at her funeral because that would kill everyone. But all of these hundreds of thousands of people could join together, packed in, masked or maskless, to protest for Black,
George Floyd, because that was more important than your family
that
members'
was more
funeral.
important. That made me very angry.
That pissed me off
I sound like
too.
Marvin the Martian now. That makes me so mad. That upset me. And then the all the actions of law enforcement. I was probably a back to blue type person, but now I've switched because I saw what the police were doing. I mean, here in El Paso was very mild. The police could just fine you for being in the park alone. And I think I've tweeted out pictures of when they literally put that warning tape over benches, and the police would come patrol parks. As I live across the street from one, and if you were even by yourself, they could cite you for being alone in the park, because that was what the city and our own city county health director wanted, to be perfectly safe. We had to be locked in our houses and in our closets. But you saw what they did in Canada, where they were storming people's homes, forbidding people from attending any kind of religious services. But yet there they were, all these mass protesters because of racism. That just made me really upset, really angry. That's when I started becoming much more cynical. But again,
worse.
with the masks and the vaccines and all this, and even now, people still hold on to their masks like a modern day talisman.
I
It's
see cars all the time. People have masks in their cars now when they're
yes,
driving
it
around
just
by
drives me
themselves.
crazy.
My mom's like
It's
that
just
too.
paranoia. It's just
So
ultimate paranoia.
I want to bring up a couple things before we go on to our next topic here. I think someone had brought this up. I think it was Double Fett here. Yeah, one is like you notice that James Gunn came out and kind of not really defended Levy. I mean, he made it clear that he didn't agree with him, but didn't like throw him under the bus either. Yeah, because James Gunn has absolutely no ground to stand on and try to call out anyone for offensive tweets, considering that guy's history. So I think he knew that there was no way that he could publicly come out and try to slam Levi any kind of way, shape, or form. Now, that doesn't mean that he still won't, that Levi still will be done with DC after this whole movie. It feels like that's going to be the plan here for now. Maybe they bring him back, maybe they don't, but we'll have to see where this goes. And as far as like the whole Levy situation here, and I'll get a little bit personal with this one. I could, if the, obviously we don't know for certain whether, you know, the vaccine caused his dad's cancer. This may have been something that he had been dealing with for years up to this point. So there's really no way of knowing for certain. But if he's a guy who, like I said, who just lost someone who's close to him, and maybe he feels like maybe what the Pfizer shot could have done something to him, I could understand him being completely upset. In my situation, my mom was vaccinated. She got Moderna. She didn't get Pfizer, but she was vaccinated. This is a woman who had been cancer-free for like 15 years. All of a sudden she gets her booster and now she's dealing with cancer again and she's actively fighting through that one. So I have to like sit back and kind of question myself. Well, I didn't get the vaccine. You did. You got the booster. Is there any correlation there? I think a lot of people are asking themselves right now, is there a correlation with a lot of these people who are suddenly dying of heart attacks? There's people who are suddenly finding themselves fighting aggressive forms of cancer. Is this something that would have happened regardless, or is this something that got accelerated because they ended up taking a shot that we are trusted is safe and effective, because that's the tagline that we've been telling all these people here over the last few months. So I can definitely see on a personal level, if Levi is looking at this being like, yeah, my dad, who I love, is now no longer with us, and maybe this thing could have had something to do with it, and now I don't trust Pfizer, man. I don't trust all these pharmaceutical companies. It could be to a point where, you know, it's gotten so personal to him that he doesn't care what happens to his career anymore at this point. There's a lot of things like that going on, so I feel for the dude. I don't know if he's publicly came out and said like anything saying that, you know, he's taking back anything he said. The tweets are still up, so I don't think that he has, but I guess we'll wait to see where this goes. And for anyone looking for a little movie recommendation, American Underdog, which is him in the Kurt Warden movie. It was my favorite movie of 2021 a couple of years back, so I definitely recommend it if you guys have it available there. So I guess we'll just leave it at that and move on to.
I will say real quick too, is Zachary Levi, if you're like listening and you want to roll in Fat Girl, I will give you a role in Fat Girl. So
I do have a final thought that I do want to get out. I do agree with you, and I can also sympathize with you, Jake, because I had to answer Super Sci-Fi's question earlier in the chat. I was forced to get the vaccine, and my aunt, or it was because I had to look after my aunt. Nobody else could look after her, and she needed to have somebody at a place to look after her. She got vaccinated. She got boosted. It ended up killing her because she ended up getting sick, and then she had to get to the hospital, and she ended up dying as a result of it. Then, also my family that I live with, they're vaccinated, triple and quadruple boosted, yet they caught COVID more times than I have. I'm only vaccinated and one boosted because got pushed into that too. But it's like, has people been noticing the more you get boosted, the more you're catching COVID?
Yeah.
Just food for thought.
And not only that, but I mean, you're talking about, why all these people are getting sicker, and maybe something has to do something with your immune system as well, and the way that it
Yeah.
works with, this virus as well. But I mean, you're not allowed to ask these kind of questions on YouTube because, our friends at Google doesn't allow you to ask these type of questions. So all I have to say is fuck off, Google.
Oh, I do want to say this before I forget. My mom, nor my stepdad, nor my brother have gotten COVID. They've all been vaccinated. When my mom and my stepdad went on their cruise that went through Central America, I believe, they were on a ship full of vaccinated people. A lot of the vaccinated people that went off the ship, and they went off the ship too, but a lot of them did get COVID, but they weren't. I don't know what happened, if they just weren't masked or where they went. But yeah, a bunch of them got COVID, but my mom and my stepdad were extremely careful and followed the cruise ship protocol, and they never got sick. So,
How many boosters did they have?
they're all up to date.
Yeah, like I said,
And my
I
stepdad,
can.
and keep in mind, my stepdad is immunocompromised. He's had open heart surgery. And he's had no
My
problem.
aunt was immunocompromised. She had almost every allergy known to man, plus she was obese, but the fact that she barely had any immune system to her was also one of the reasons why I think it may have killed her.
Yes, stepdad is not obese. He is at a healthy weight, and the main thing is he had open heart surgery, like 2 open heart surgeries, and he's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to talk about this next story. This one's going to be directed mostly towards Rob and Rick, since you guys are movie aficionados here. But the Andrea Riseborough story, Riseborough, is that her name?
Riseborough, yes.
Riseborough. Okay, this whole story is taking kind of like a mind of its own here. So here's the whole thing. This woman was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for a movie that not a lot of people have saw or a lot of people have heard of. I don't think any of us have actually seen this movie. I haven't. I don't think any of you guys have, and we've kind of seen at least the majority of the Oscar movies this year. So this one kind of came to a surprise of a lot of people. The problem is that because black women were nominated for Best Actress this year, her nomination has now come into scrutiny to the point that there's now been an investigation about whether they should take back her nomination for this award, because they're saying that the campaign may have violated the Academy's terms of conduct as far as like lobbying goes. So this is essentially what happened here, because Viola Davis didn't get a nomination for The Woman King and The Woman for Till, which I can't remember her name, but we talked about her a couple of times as well. Because they were snubbed for nominations, everyone has been focusing on her, saying that she doesn't deserve it, that the Academy should get rid of her nomination and give it to one of those two. Here's what the Academy said earlier this week. They said that we're conducting a review of campaign procedures around this year's nominees to ensure that no guidelines were violated, and to inform us whether changes to the guidelines may be needed in the new era of social media and digital communication. We have confidence in the integrity of our nomination and voting procedures, and support generating grassroots campaigns for outstanding performances. Now, it was mentioned in another statement saying here that apparently the question here is that I guess her agent may have came out and tried to like lobby on social media to get her client nominated for an Academy Award, and they tried to see whether that led to any kind of violations that could possibly take away her nomination and give it to somebody else. So that's what they were really pushing very, very hard of. They updated the story as of a few hours ago. They announced that they are not going to rescind her nomination here. This is their official statement. The Academy has determined the activity in question does not rise to a level of the film's nomination should be rescinded. This is Academy CEO Bill Kramer said in a statement. He said, however, we did discover social media and outreach campaign tactics that cause concern. These tactics are currently being addressed with the responsible parties directly. That doesn't say that any future penalties may come of this, but essentially what's going to happen right now is that progressives were very upset that no black women got nominated for an Academy Award this year. They tried to target this woman, saying that she didn't deserve it. They launched an investigation into social media infractions. They found nothing. Her nomination is going to stand, and this year there's not going to be no black woman nominated for Best Actress. It is what it is. Now, like I said, I haven't seen Till. I think Rick did actually watch Till, but we all saw The Woman King. I don't think any many of us were really clamoring for for Viola Davis to win an Academy Award for that role. That's absolutely absurd. That people really tried super hard to push for it. Obviously, the Academy didn't agree. But I'll start with Rob here. What do you think about this whole story of them trying to strip her of her nomination?
Yeah, I also saw Till. I watched The Woman King. Neither performance, in my opinion, deserved a nomination for Best Actress in a performance this year. So I didn't think that it was very controversial. Look, I think it's great that there was this late push for Andrea Riseborough because she's a very well respected actress. Like that, this goes back, at least a decade. Her career. There's even this episode of Black Mirror, I think that she's in. It's like a black and white episode. So she's a very good actress, and I think that just look, the people whose vote is the heaviest, weighed the heaviest, are the actors in the Academy. Meaning the actors in the Academy voted who they wanted, who they thought gave the best performances. There are all kinds of campaigns, and like they do have rules, a lot of rules and regulations about how you promote it and how you sell a performance as being the best to your fellow actors. For instance, Crash. Everybody was pissed off that Crash won Best Picture over Brokeback Mountain. Do you know why it won? Because it campaigned its ass off. It had this ingenious campaign to get screeners into the possession of the voters, and that ensured at least everybody saw the movie. There's a lot of they don't say this a lot, they don't advertise it. There are times when people who are voting have not seen the movies they are voting on. So this, because it'd be embarrassing for the Academy if that were more widely known, I guess. But I'm glad the nomination wasn't rescinded. I think she deserves it. There were not that many performances that stood out, and that kind of says everything. There's this push to nominate a black actress, but it's like Angela Bassett got a nomination for a fucking superhero movie. Like, relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are so interested in tokenism, and it's like, look, you got one, and then on top of it, you have 2 Asians that were nominated. So it's like, why are black nominations worth more in the victimhood totem pole, like versus Asian? I don't understand. So I think the whole thing's ridiculous. So I'm glad that this controversy can be put to bed.
Go ahead, Rick.
Right. Well, real quick, if you count the supporting actor, there are 3 Asians.
Okay.
Look, it's going to be impossible for me to be brief. Sorry. First, I'm working hard at it. This whole thing happened because, for some reason, people convinced themselves that Viola Davis and particularly Daniel Deadwyler gave these overwhelming, powerful performances. I did see tweets going about how Daniel Deadwyler gave the greatest screen performance in the history of all cinema for a female. I'm going, you people are insane. It's just such fanaticism built up. And I predicted, as soon as Riseborough's name was announced, I said she's going to be the focus. People are going to blame her for Viola Davis and Daniel Deadwyler missing out on a nomination. But here are the problems. First, we're supposed to think that Instagram posts and tweets were able to overwhelm these very slick campaigns for Deadwyler and Davis. Though their companies, their agents, their studios spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions. That's why, and you can't literally the campaign. That's why you always have that for your consideration. They cannot flat out say nominate X for this category. You have to go for your consideration. It's ridiculous to think that Frances Fisher, of all people, has enough power among the Academy members that she, by posting an Instagram post, I think, about how Blanchett and Yo, and she mentioned Davis, that they're virtual locks, so you can put Andrea Riseborough in.
Yeah.
That alone is going to overwhelm all the fancy dinners and the Q&As and the presentations and the interviews. Daniel Deadweiler had a better campaign than Andrea Riseborough. And I'm sure Viola Davis had a larger campaign than Andrea Riseborough. The only thing is that uh, Andrea Riseborough had more famous people pushing for her. And every single person that has come out and seen the movie and seen her performance, all of them have said, this is a great performance. This is worthy of a nomination. What people are also forgetting is, let's say that for whatever reason, let's say that they actually managed to rescind the nomination. Do you know what would happen? There'd be 4 nominees. They're not going to substitute another person. They're not going to say what these people who were campaigning, who were demanding that Riceborough be pulled out, that they should rescind the nomination. They actually thought that if they pulled Riceborough out, Davis or Deadwild would take their place or take her place. That was not going to happen. There have been nominations in the past that were rescinded, and they didn't substitute someone else. They left it at 4 nominees. So these people, it's not like Miss America, where the first runner-up will take the place if the contestant, the winner cannot fulfill her duties. So what were these people trying to do? They're ignorant about actual Academy rules. Now, I don't. Riseborough, no one has ever proven that she herself did anything wrong. So why should her nomination have been rescinded? What would be the reason? There is
She's
none.
white.
Well, you know what? Um, that's up to the Academy members. They selected 5. They submitted all these various names. The top 5 vote getters got nominated. You had other people that you could have questioned. I know a lot of people despise Blonde. That's why they targeted Ana de Armas. Sorry, Rob. And I personally would have thought that Michelle Williams should have been in supporting, not lead. But she campaigned for lead, and she ultimately managed. But yet, because both of them were in the conversation, they were not as targeted. They were not the focus of the vitriol. It was Riseborough who came out of nowhere. And then the thing is that a lot of people were making fun of the campaign, of the last minute push. All the tweets and the Instagram posts, a lot of film Twitter was laughing at it, and they thought it was stupid. So when they did announce her name, there were genuine shocks. Nobody expected it, but people were just assuming that Deadweiler and Davis were going to get nominated. They were genuinely stunned, and worse, they're alleging racism. That's their whole reason. And for some reason, they think it's sexist to nominate a woman in a woman category.
You know what's embarrassing? You know what was embarrassing was I think it was the screenwriter, or maybe the director of Till. Was saying it was racist. And I was like, you are such a fucking hack for giving this any credence. You're you're supposed to be an artist.
What she said, I think what she said was the misogynism toward black women. And I'm thinking, so you're saying that women, people nominating in actress, a female category, are being misogynist by nominating a woman. No, you're trying to say it's racism. You're trying to say that somehow, thinking is, these people are arguing that they saw that all the Academy members saw Till, the Woman King, and said, you know what? Daniel Deadweiler gave the greatest screen performance in the history of all mankind. People will judge film acting based on Daniel Deadweiler's performance. And, people will judge it pre-Deadweiler, post-Deadweiler. She will be the standard to which all female actresses have or will ever be held up to. And, she's black, so we're going to put in some random white woman out of nowhere. That is what they are alleging. That is their deranged conspiracy theory. You know what I say to them? Prove it. Show us. Find us the Academy members that said, I saw the greatest screen performance in the history of all mankind that Daniel Deadweiler gave, but I picked a white woman because I don't want a black woman to win an Oscar after Halle Berry. Now, you can make a case that we need more roles or have a wider opening for roles for African American women. Okay, but that's a separate argument. Nothing says that Andrea Riseborough did anything wrong. Nothing says that her campaign or the fact that she has famous friends who are advocating for her was somehow a conspiracy that was led by the Klan. It's insane. It's idiotic. So I would say to the director of Till, a movie that was respectable, but that I
Suck
did
my
not think.
butt. Oh,
No,
no,
I'm
never
not going to
mind.
say that. I would say to you, put up or shut up. Prove it. Provide the evidence. Frances Fisher does not have that much power in the Academy that she could single-handedly remove Daniel Deadwyler and Viola Davis off Best Actress and substitute some random white woman that just came out of nowhere. Yes, it was an amazing surprise when she was nominated, but every person who has seen her performance has said this is a great performance. This is an absolutely brilliant performance, and Rob is right. Andrea Riseborough has been well respected for decades. That's how she got all of these famous people to support her and to show that she has what it takes to be nominated. It's getting to the point where I want her to win. I
Yeah.
actually want her to win just to make these people angrier. But listen, to all the people, and if anyone watching who still believes in this conspiracy that it was racism that kept this racism and racism alone that kept Daniel Deadwyler and Viola Davis off of Best Actress, show me the proof. Show me the proof. Find me the Academy members that were all deciding that even though Daniel Deadwyler, transcended cinema, they decided to just pick some very British, very white woman. Prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Don't just make these
Good
weird
luck with that.
allegations. Yeah. If you can't prove it, then all you're doing
Shut the fuck
is
up.
yeah. Well, or if you can't prove it, just say keep you have nothing.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay. Sometimes I wonder if you're like saying that to me because I talk too much.
No, it's both. It's
No,
both.
he's finishing your sentences.
Look, the key thing here, man, is if you cave, if you bend the knee to these fucking people, you are automatically compromised. To be honest, I didn't see any of these movies. I don't care to see them. I don't care about the Oscars. But the bottom line is, once you cave to these people, you are completely compromised, and no one can take you seriously anymore at all. Whether the option is right or wrong, I personally don't know what the choices are, whether I think they were right or wrong. The choices were made. You came to a final decision, and that is it. Do not cave to the mob, because then you're completely compromised. And we know that you are willing to deviate from your true belief in the beginning. So
Yeah.
do not
Real-
cave to
real
these
quick-
fucking weirdos.
Real quick to what Cassie said, if they had rescinded the nomination, this would have set a very bad precedent because it would have meant that the louder your fan base got, they could cajole the Academy into surrendering. And I'm glad that they didn't do it.
So I'm going to say this just real quick, and then we got one more story to come up here. But here's the problem with this whole story: is that this has been going on for years because these progressives in this Hollywood bubble put so much of their they're so obsessed with these Hollywood awards. Like they really like give their entire lives for these fucking golden statues that they think they're entitled to them. So when a certain people of certain whatever victim group you want to throw in there don't get enough nominations because there's too many normies getting nominated for awards, they started this whole campaign of, oh, the Oscars are so white. Why is there so many white people getting nominated? Why aren't they diverse enough? It's like, okay, well, black people have won Academy Awards before. Well, not enough. And then it's like, okay, what about the women? What about the black women? What about the Asian women? What about the gay women? And they've just caved one step after another. And they're going to keep caving because this whole bubble, they don't have the balls to say enough. Shut the fuck up. These are our nominations. Take it or leave it. They don't have the balls to say that because they're all in the same bubble and they all think the same way. So they're going to keep going over and over again. And it won't be surprising if you get to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? No more white people are nominated for awards now. That's the only way we can get you guys to possibly shut the fuck up. Is no more white people, no more genders. Everyone's going to be this woke award show that Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel is going to host. Is going to get the lowest ratings ever until next year's show. So
if I may add add to this, if or the nominations that happened this year, especially the lack of putting Viola Davis and the other ones in, is any indication, I think that it's actually they are, or some people are starting to say enough, because if people, or they've been paying attention, they know that their ratings have been going down consecutively each year to abysmal levels. They're under
All-time
1 million viewers, and in some cases, and now they're starting to say, well, maybe we can't keep doing this how we've been doing it, and maybe we should start taking a look at these other projects. Now, yes, they still have the stipulations that you gotta have a diverse crew, both in front of the camera and in back of the camera. However, now they are actually looking. They are not going to nominate. Or did the Woman King get nominated for anything?
No.
There's a reason for that, in my opinion. But I'm willing to bet it's more than just opinion in this case. They heard the outrage. They know the true history behind the Dahomey and behind the transatlantic slave trade. They know all of that. And believe me, if they were to nominate that movie in any capacity, they would never recover from that scandal. Because contrary to popular belief, everybody says, well, the whites' times is over and yada, yada, yada. That's what they're saying in Hollywood and whatnot. It's like, well, white people still make up the majority of the population. And believe me, if they decided to make their voices heard, you're going to get a billion strong saying this movie should never have fucking been made. And honestly, I stand by that. The Woman King should never have been made, because it's them literally trying to rewrite history and whatnot. But yeah, they're having this whole Riseborough thing. It's just going to show that they're defending their process, and the process won out in an objective fashion.
Yeah.
If they change it, they're simply saying, well, maybe we need to look at this and that. They might change it. They might actually change it because of the backlash. But what they got to stop doing, and they got to actually listen, is they got to stop caving in to the woke mob. They're caving into thousands when they're losing millions.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, look, the whole thing's stupid, but they're going to keep going on. And I do want to get to one last story here. This is going to be our closer. I wasn't initially going to do this one, but there's been a couple of details about this one, and actually kind of bummed me out to kind of review this story. So it might end on a little bit of a downer here, but let's talk about this story right here, which is Ironheart actress, Ironheart actress. I don't know what pronouns you're using. Zoe Tucker Keats, I'm going to say, is Terakes. Okay, there you go. That sounds much better. Is deeply grateful of the upcoming Marvel series will give little trans kids and trans teens something to look at, know that they exist. So this is, if you remember a few months ago, we kind of talked about this. Marvel is doing an Ironheart series based on the Riri Williams character that nobody likes. And apparently the series is going to have very, very heavy LGBTQ undertones in it. Obviously, this character is a part of it. You're going to have drag queens in the series too. So there's going to be a lot of LGBTQ stuff in this Disney Plus series coming up. Now, I actually knew this actor because she was in the final couple of seasons of Wentworth, which is an Australian show that I actually liked up until obviously the last couple of seasons, but it didn't have anything to do with her because she got killed off. So here you have a first quote unquote first transgender, first non-binary actor to join the MCU, and basically just repeated what they said here. Best known for playing Reb Keen in the Australia Wentworth, as we explained here. And spoke with the Sundance Film Festival about the upcoming TV project here. And when asked by Collider, it says that, what is joining the MCU mean for you personally? What influence do you have on the franchise? He says, I think as trans people growing up, I didn't get to see myself anywhere. I'm going to get to this in a second because this is fucking bullshit. But so I didn't really know that I existed, the actor said, who identifies as a non-binary transgender man. So make that make sense. And especially not in the superhero show or movie. I think says so. I think that I just feel deeply grateful that this. I think I feel deeply grateful that moved little trans kids and teens that have something to look at. To know that they exist and know that they can have superpowers, and that's where we belong. We don't we don't just belong in trauma stories on the fringes, dying and things. He says we belong here with the big guys. So yeah, it means a lot to me. So this is what she, he, they. I don't know however you want to describe this. It exactly describes this series. Now I'm going to make you depressed because, first of all, this woman is only like 22 years old. Is a very young person here. She was not born trans. She did not grow up trans. It's only a very recent transition here. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of what this person looked like before her transition. So let me see if I can pull this up here. So this is what she looked like only just a few years ago. Very lovely looking woman here. This is another picture of what she looked like not too long ago. And then this is the one that's probably going to bum you out because this is the one of what she looks like now. And see if I can put this one up. So that's her recent picture where, yes, she did, in fact, get her breasts removed. And this is something that is being promoted on a Disney Plus show to inspire your children to find themselves to be, bi, trans, whatever part of the rainbow community that you want to put into here. So yeah, not exactly a very up-loving story here. It's kind of depressing the way this whole thing is panned out, but this is something that they're hoping that they're going to inspire your kids to be a part of. That's the whole point of this series. Now, obviously, anyone who's known the Ironheart series long enough, you know that the character in and of itself is insufferable, but the fact that they're adding this whole thing to it and they're promoting it, especially not even counting the other drag queen stuff that's going to be a part of this show as well. This is going to be an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, as much as we talk about She-Hulk, this on a moral level might just completely surpass that one entirely. I'm gonna start with Cassie here. Try to describe what the hell you just saw here in this whole story.
Just honestly, society's first world society. I think at this point it's just caving in on itself.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where it's like, it's just gross hearing about this stuff at this point. I'm sorry. I just think that these fucking people are gross, and the things that they're trying to do are just gross. And it's like, look, man, and I'm libertarian at heart. Just like, I want you to live your life the way that you want to, and in turn, that allows me the right to live my life the way that we want to, if we can all live by these terms. Stop influencing people to your agenda to be weird. Inherently, you're just encouraging younger people to grow up and fuck their lives up. I'm sorry to have to say, you're just let them fuck their lives up on their own terms, okay? You don't add your bullshit, your fuckery into it. It's really as simple as that. Plenty of people are capable of fucking up their own lives. They don't need your help with it. Thank you.
Nerdigans, what's your thoughts on this whole story?
There's a difference, going off of what Cassie said, there's a difference between like something like a RuPaul's Drag Race or a Dragula, where that's what the thing is. It's drag culture. It's celebrating the culture. And then there's something like this where it's Disney promoting it to kids. There's a huge difference. And I know kids do watch Drag Race, and that's the parents' fault. So take it at that. But they do watch it with their parents. So it's like, I'm just like kind of torn on this because I know the drag queen that's in the show because I've watched them and they're very talented and they do beautiful artwork. But it's like, Disney, what are you doing? What are you doing, Disney, with this? One, people don't like Ironheart. Why are you adapting one of the series that is known to be hated? It's stupid.
I mean, this is the whole point of this. Is obviously subversion because they've shown absolutely no details about what the show is going to be, what the character is, but they're already driving home. Hey, we're going to have drag queen superheroes in this series. We're going to have trans teens in this series too, and this is going to be really inspiring for your kid. So this is all just propaganda to promote more of this rainbow agenda to your children. I don't know exactly when this whole thing is coming out, but I think it's supposed to be out sometime later this year. Johnson, you still there?
Yeah.
As a parent who has to, I guess, shield your kids from stuff like that, what is kind of your thoughts on this whole thing?
So my rules are pretty simple. Number one is like you do a lot of prevention, as much prevention as possible.
Yeah.
We don't have streaming services. We really don't. Like, my kids aren't even really allowed on YouTube, and they know what it is. And I'm like, look, I've explained to them, look, bad people put bad things on the internet, and I just don't think you need to see them, and you don't need to be on here. And I've had those conversations with my kids, and it's nice though. We go to church, and I can explain, look, sin has happened from the beginning of time, and there are people that enjoy sinning, and they make good fun making other people do that stuff too. It's like, okay. So number one is like just prevention. Okay. Number two is don't freak out when it gets through because it's very, very prevalent.
Yeah.
This past week I was watching this baking show with my sister and my daughter. We were having girls' night, and my daughter likes to bake. So and they have this focus on this lesbian character, and she's like, Mommy, how does this lady marry this other woman? And I explained, hey, look, this is America. You can marry your dog, you can marry your computer, you can marry yourself, you can marry anything you want here. But there's a difference between marriage and church and a contract that people write out together, or people and other things write out, and so, I mean, like, there's a difference in my household between marriage and holy matrimony. And, if they're going to play word games, I'm going to play them back. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, prevention, don't freak out. And then, like, at the end of the day, like, reaffirm what you believe. It's like, look, there are great things about life, and there's a lot of life to live, and you'll see a lot of strange things, and you get to decide ultimately when you're an adult, what you think is best. And in the meantime, I'm your parent, and I love you, and I'm going to try to do what's best for you. And I've told my kids, like, I will tell you why I'm doing things, and I have a kid answer and an adult answer. And if you're ready for the adult answer, you can tell me. And that's pretty much the dialogue we have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I will say like this: I've told them before that we're not buying Disney Plus. We don't have this streaming service. I will buy their movies that I approve of individually if they ask, and that's how we do it. And I will say, for the record, like, DVDs are like my best friend. There's no commercials, so I don't have to worry about ads creeping in.
Yeah.
And they've learned to take care of things a little bit. So you have the one DVD here and there that you have to replace, but overall, it's if you pay attention and you realize this is a problem and this is going to affect them negatively, which even the best of cases, I can't say this is something that I feel like you should expose them to.
Mm-hmm.
Like my kids, you have to understand, my kids are so young, they don't understand what sex is. Okay. And like my cat, we have a girl cat and a boy cat now, because my daughter wanted a cat for Christmas, so we got them a cat for Christmas. And they've been going around with them, like, my son has the boy cat and my daughter has the girl cat, and they've been going around the house singing Jasper and Maria sitting in a tree, KISSING, and it's funny.
Yeah.
Because they're like, now they can have babies because they're married, and it's like I love that. I really, really love that. I've explained that, the baby belly is gone, and, the boy cat got his balls hocked out, but it's still like, I'm a good mom.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
So,
like I said, I mean,
you're
I'm
not
just
watching this stuff.
I'm just looking at the story of like this girl, and it's just fucking depressing. And just to think that we're now living in a world where you're supposed to look at the series of events and be like, oh yeah, go girl, or it, or whatever the fuck you want to claim yourself to be. Like, oh, this is a normal, like fucking, like they're trying to convince you that this is normal and this is okay. Everyone else who saw that was fucking face palming at basically the way that her life's going, and she's not happy. She's not going to live a happy life, and then you wonder why suicide rates in certain communities are reaching nearly 50%.
Well,
and
and,
it's
like-
like you can see exactly all the problems right in front of your face, but they're telling you that no, this is good, this is normal. Let's invite your kids into this as well.
Yeah, I mean, and this is part of the reason I keep my kids off the internet. Is like the internet's actually very unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
Even as an adult, I have to tell myself, hey, it's time to put this away.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I wouldn't call myself the most disciplined person out there sometimes, And so if I'm struggling with it as a 30-something-year-old mom, it's like kids with like, that dopamine and serotonin rushes aren't going to do a good job either,
Yeah.
And yeah, and people who grew up with it even more than I did are going to have more of an issue. I mean, that's just true no matter how you look at addiction.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I got nothing positive that I can say on YouTube without getting booted, so I'll let you guys wrap this one up.
Well, I gotta say this: where are these kids' parents? I mean, I know this actress is like 10 years younger than me, but where are the parents? Because my parents did not raise me like that. And I know my parents would be supportive of it, but they would, because my mom's a nurse. She would be like freaking the fuck out. My dad is liberal as hell, so my dad would be cool with anything, but he would still like question it. But my mom would be freaking the fuck out, and she would want me to like make sure that I want to do this. She would have me go to my psychiatrist. She would have me go see every doctor possible to make sure I know what I'm doing before I do it. So,
well,
the parent,
I don't know, too, where everything's like me now, and I think that's a problem when you live like half your life online.
Yeah.
The parents would probably say, "Oh yes, absolutely." Parents, well, not all, but it seems a good number of them will take whatever the child says and confirm it, no matter what it is, because for some reason you cannot contradict the child. If the child says that at 4, I'm trans, the parents will say, "Yes, you absolutely are." You had that Generation Trans documentary series on Discovery Plus. You have people like, was it Jazz Jennings, being feted and celebrated. So you take their word for it. That's what it boils down to. You take their word for it.
Rick,
yes.
What happened to kids don't know anything? What happened to that? What happened to
know.
Where the hell did the parents go? It's like,
Exactly.
no, you don't know anything. You're a child. Shut up.
I don't know where that went, but
Yeah.
that is the modern thinking now as I see it. See, of course, I see this as a non-parent.
Yeah.
We take their word for it and we accept it because you were born trans, and you've had children. It's interesting. There was one child, and I can't remember all the details, where this child who said that he was born male and just, or assigned male at birth, and then became decided or made the decision or made the statement that even though he was assigned male at birth, this person is now female, and was also a very devout Christian, and said, God does not make mistakes. My question would be, well, if God does not make mistakes, why did he not make you born biologically female? But it's a side issue here.
This is all Reagan's fault. We can all agree this is all Reagan's fault. He shut down all the wacko baskets, and now we're seeing what happens when you just let these people roam around in the streets unattended.
I can't say, but I will correct Zoe one thing here. I'm sorry, I'll just correct Zoe. Zoe would not be the first trans superhero. That was already on Supergirl.
Mm-hmm.
That person
well, she did in the MCU, because all of these quote unquote history making moments have to come with like these little asterisks attached to them. So,
but you have seen a rise in trans characters in television and in film, And I wonder, and I imagine most people here would say that there is. Is there a correlation between the rise of transgender characters in film and on television, and the rise in transgender population? Because you had this, was it in the Umbrella Academy, where the person who is now Elliot Page, they changed the character gender from male to female, or female to male, because of the actor or actress, or however you would like to define Elliot Page as at the moment, or I should say at the moment. Define it now. You define this individual. I'm having a hard time
Spit it
phrasing
out.
this.
You're having a
cares?
hard time because you're trying to play their game, which is fucking
Yeah.
stupid. Like that's the
Yes,
problem
okay.
here.
I will just say that is there a correlation between the number of people who are stating that they are gender non-conforming, non-binary, transgender, and the what seems to be an increase in the number of the transgender population overall? So I wonder, has there been any? Are there any studies that make a connection? Because it just seems curious that we're having this all the way from starting from Laverne Cox, who was the trans the
Orange is the
poster
New Black.
child, yes,
Yeah.
and then you had Chaz Bono. You seem to have a slow and steady increase in the number of transgender characters, and now there seems to be an increase in the number of people coming out as transgender, even in elementary or preschool. So I wonder if there is a connection. And of course, I have no way of knowing for sure, but I'm just curious.
Well, I will say that a lot of it is because they're trying to make their parents happy, and also the parents are part of the problem because they want clout and likes and retweets and
Everyone wants
shares
to be
and
an
all this
ally.
on Instagram and Twitter and
Well,
all
not
that
even
shit.
that. I mean, in the clips that I've seen of this Generation Trans documentary, and I've not seen the whole thing because I don't have Discovery Plus. I just see clips. Very rarely do you have the parents actually contradict their child and saying no. And if you do, if you have even a hint of it, you are perceived as a villain, or you are perceived as terrible for disagreeing with the child. But again, I just wonder, um, is there a reason why once you tell a adult you're 4 years old and you say I'm trans or I'm a girl? I mean, I wouldn't have even had those concepts at 4 or even at 14,
Right.
maybe even at 24.
Which tells you something. What does that tell you? It tells you that they're basically like picking up on what adults around them are saying, and basically, basically behaving in a way that's like, oh, I'm, this behavior is rewarded.
And they will get attention. That's what they're doing. They're trying to just get attention.
Yep.
But I would just recommend for anyone who says that they were born male or female or vice versa, I would really think that you should not be having any kind of surgeries or puberty blockers, hormone blockers, what have you, until you are 18. I think anything before that is far too young, and I think you do need.
I mean,
a great
in all
deal of counseling
honesty,
to do that.
I look at these people the same way that I look at. You hear the story about the dude who turned himself into like a black alien, and he was complaining that nobody wanted to serve him because it looks like a fucking abomination. It's like like we have these people out here running around getting these surgeries just because they can, and it's like they're ruining their entire lives. And it's like, yeah, then you wonder why suicide rates are skyrocketing nowadays. But no, they want to make it seem like, oh no, the reason for skyrocketing suicide rates is because you guys won't use the proper pronouns. That's the problem here, not these people who are completely mentally deranged, who are doing irreversible damage to their body that they're going to regret at some point later in their life. And when they come to that realization that I've destroyed myself, what do you think the next conclusion is going to be?
Here's the thing. Here's what's crazy about this. There are laws that state you can't get tattoos, or you need your parents' permission to get a piercing, and like that's seemingly more regulated than and not as damaging
right
as
now.
Giving. You know what I'm saying? Furthering somebody else's like mental illness, or like sending them down the road of despair, 10 years down the road when they've mutilated their body. I mean, it's just like you'd think that this would be more closely watched, closely regulated, saying, hey, don't do this until you're 18, and as an adult, decide for yourself. And even then, maybe wait to your early 20s, because you're not done developing. Like up here, you're not done developing. So just like give it some time. It's okay. Just being like, I get, like being a teenager and like questioning things and whatever. But it's just like everybody goes through some kind of phase like that. And so it's just like, you're not something new. You're not.
Guys, I was doing my hair like Dragon Ball Z characters in my early 20s. Just fucking hold off, guys. Okay, don't jump to conclusions. That's all we're saying.
Yep.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
I mean, all of this is true. Is like at some point, for children especially, okay, like your identity as a child is rooted in your family. Okay, as you grow up and you start to become more aware of the world, your identity becomes rooted in community, which is the people that you interact with, and the things that you do. Okay, and my kids have been doing karate for several years, and they've gone to the same dojo. They know these people. They've known these people for more than half their lives now. That's part of they know these people are part of their upbringing, and then as you get older, you get to give back. And that's when like your individualization is like almost complete, in the sense that you can step away from your family and you can leave your community and you can give back to the world in which you want, in a way that you want to. Okay. That's it. That's like 18, 21, 26. And I mean, some of these people have longer maturity periods and stuff that they require this time to like ferment and think about these things and what they really want to do. And like for me, myself, like my parents pushed me to go to college, like immediately. And if I had the ability to go back in time, I would be like, hey, why don't you like not go into teaching? Why don't you go into something else that people will need help with, like become a doctor, I mean, like I don't regret my life choices in the totality of it, but if I could go back in time and try something else, I think I would have. And I think like I said, as a parent, you do your best. You want the best for your kids. That's not going to change. But
one of these days, I'll just say this on the last note here before we wrap things up. Yeah. One of these days, we're going to have to come to the realization that, those crazy Christians they were telling you about back in the 1980s were probably right. And now here we are.
You were right about some things. I actually said to my kids today.
Okay, you weren't right about anime. We can agree that one, and maybe that was a little step too far.
I was one of the people that liked anime. Okay,
yeah. And,
so I'm on your side, society.
Tipper Gore. I know Tipper Gore was a Democrat, but like Jesus Christ, the parental advisory Nazis. Yeah. Jesus. Anyway.
Even like the Hays Code, like I can attest, like, okay, yeah, it's probably better that we don't have these restrictions, but on the other side,
I like some of the Hays Code.
Censorship's good, Rick. Yeah, censorship's good.
Well, like, let me put it like this: good storytelling structure is conservative because it's real. It's based in reality. There's this your characters and your plot and your theme should all interact with each other in a way that prevents this cohesion, fluid vision that is able to take people away from their current position. That's good storytelling. That's based in reality. So it is very conservative. So at least that part is right.
Okay. Well, while Spencer and Josh are playing grab ass in the comments, I think this is a good time to go ahead and wrap this baby up. So I'm going to start out by giving everyone their plugs and their sign-offs here. Johnson, apparently, according to your dog, you want people to subscribe to your channel. So why don't you tell more people about that?
Oh, I was going to push Fat Girl.
Oh, yes. Okay then.
Okay.
Okay, but, don't subscribe to her channel. She doesn't want you to. So.
Yes. I will say Fat Girl, the finale part 1 came out today, and it's real fun to see it kind of finish. I wrote this one kind of on a dare. actually, like my friend Paul here, who writes for Bounding into Comics, sometimes approached me about putting a story in his Appalling Stories anthology, and he said it had to be funny and offensive and funny. And I was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. I'm not generally very offensive, believe it or not. But out of that whole series kind of came out of that, and I'm really grateful. Subscribe to my YouTube channel too. I had to redo the handle, so yep, there's that. And get the next episode of Fat Girl. So.
All right, then. Well, jumping over to our good buddy Rob Motto. I know you got something coming up you want to talk about.
I'll put it in the thing.
Yep. Not sure what. No, but I'm look, February's here and I'm gonna start a lot of movie watching. There are two movies that I probably am gonna see this weekend: Infinity Pool and Knock at the Cabin, which is M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, which is starring Dave Bautista, of all people. So I'm looking forward to at least writing about both of those movies. So those reviews will be out soon. And I'm also going through John Woo's catalog as a director, sort of his, Hong Kong action movies, and then his sort of more Americanized versions of those Hong Kong action movies. So I am going to be writing a larger piece on those, which will be coming up hopefully by the middle of the month. So I've got a lot of movies to watch and to get in before then, but that's kind of my timetable. And there's my Twitter.
All right, then, Nerdigans. I know you got a lot, so.
Well, besides my channel, Nerdigans Inc., where you can check out all the manga that I cover, and I cover quite a lot because it never sleeps, and neither do I at this point, well, unless Kat has something to say about it. But I also have an exclusive interview with a working Aniplex director that revealed what's really going on in the anime industry, and boy, it ain't pretty. You think it's going well because of how popular it is in the West. Nope. It's about to burst. It's not looking good. I also had an article about Toei Animation going rogue, the English branch going rogue in Transing Yamato. And Amazon, of course, causing shenanigans as usual. I have a couple more interviews that I am working on. One with the voice actor, former voice actor, and a up and coming American independent mangaka to discuss the American mangaka to discuss some of the platforms that are available for independent creators. And I have an anime list that is coming and a manga list that is coming for Bounding into Comics. So, of course, I'll be here on every Tuesday, and if there's anything tomorrow, live stream wise, I'll be on if anyone needs me. So stay tuned.
All right, then, moving over to our good buddy Cage. How you doing? What's going on? What you got coming up?
Well, we got the Too Real for Feels podcast coming up this Thursday. It's going to be a lot of good topics as always. Just uploaded a video tonight discussing how I got a nice gift that I waited over a year for, and this is an analog pocket. And if you're into retro gaming, that's my first impressions on it thus far, which is pretty cool. So you want to check that out. I also did a video dumping on IGN. So if anyone enjoys dumping on IGN, come dump on IGN with me. And yeah, I've always got something going on. Might actually save effort and do a live stream tonight playing Undisputed, since it's one of the biggest games coming out this year that I'm super excited for. So yeah, always got something going on. Just follow me on Twitter or YouTube, Cult Classic Cage.
All right, then, jumping over to our good buddy Rick. What you got coming up, my friend?
Oh gosh, I hope to finish some of those reviews. I'm way behind, so just keep looking at my site, Rick's Texan Reviews or Rick's Cafe Texan, to read about Harry and Meghan, Strange World. I've got 80 for Brady coming up because apparently I'm the target audience. Josh thinks that I'm like this
60-year-old woman.
60-year-old woman who thirsts after Tom Brady. So I don't know what that says about me. that's just trying to catch up on the reviews. I checked out some others from the library. Hopefully, I will review the big scary S word, which is about the joys of American socialism.
Mm.
And I am on the waiting list for the Banshees of Inisherin. I think I finally got that right.
Yep.
And just a real quick plug, not for myself, but I was informed that my cousin just had her baby, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy to
Yay.
hear good news. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Great, more of you.
yeah. That's right. She will be trained in the right ways. I will show her the joys of Citizen Kane and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. So there you go. That's it. Just try to catch up on my reviews. And thanks for having me here.
Well, that's good to hear. And of course, our buddy Mephisto Movie Reviews joins us super late, but he can always go back and watch the stream later. And then, of course, Orange Hat, what you got coming up?
Well, I got tomorrow night my birthday stream going from 9 to midnight. I also have on Tuesday, next Tuesday begins the romance mystery reviews, where the mystery reviews for February will have each movie will have an element of romance. The hint for next week's kickoff of the mystery romance reviews it's a fantasy romance setting in the 80s, or from the 80s. It's an 80s movie. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I also do guest choice reviews where I bring on somebody. They get to choose the movie, the time, and the date for their convenience. And it's a movie that we both like, so we can both discuss it. And other than that, don't got much planned, just getting out content as it rolls along.
All right, then letting you guys know what I got coming up on the channel here. So pretty much I'm going to be doing a bunch of YouTube shorts, apparently, since that's the only thing that actually draws on this fucking YouTube channel. But yeah, we're going to be doing some more movie reviews. I'll put up... we got some for the next few days, so I think we're going to be doing that one. Friday night, I believe I have... I think we're actually going to record. I'm not sure we're going to release, so I actually should hold on to that one for now. But we're going to be recording a podcast on Friday night with a couple of good friends of mine. Once we get more confirmation details on that, I'll let you guys know. Tomorrow night, we're going to be on Bounty in the Comments, the Blackpool stream. I'm pretty sure we should call it the Blackpool stream. Why we're not playing on the Blackpool stream? But yeah, we're going to be talking about a whole lot of situations. But we'll talk about, obviously, Zachary Levi. Maybe talking about this Ironheart situation. James Gunn definitely going to be discussed ad nauseum tomorrow. So join us in on tomorrow night for that whole discussion. And then outside of that, Monday night, like I said, we're going to be reviewing, The Knock on the Cabin, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. At least me and Rick are. Me and Rob are. Rick is going to be watching the 80 for Brady movie. So we'll be back doing movie reviews.
Ooh,
Then
I'm
next
sorry.
week, episode 35 of this Barroom podcast that is still going. So that shows a little bit of consistency there. That's probably as much consistency as you're going to get here on this show. And by the way, I'm going to sit here and yell at everyone on the panel tonight because not a single person has addressed the fact that we had a new background for the Barroom podcast and no one said a single word about it. So I'm going to go ahead and just start Xing
late,
just random
so I
people
have
out
an
of the
excuse.
podcast that I feel like didn't really help assist anything with the show today. So I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah, but thanks for everyone who joined us here tonight. I know Feast just got here late, but Spencer, Josh, Zio Dozer, DK who was here earlier, Trey, Duke Nukem, everyone who joined us here tonight. Thank you for joining us for the 2.5 hours of this absolute nonsensical podcast. We're going to go ahead and sign off here. So you know what time it is. It's time for Spring Yard. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
You can leave now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Stay humble.
Let me say this just to Josh real quick. It's whatever the hell I say it is. Josh. Now hit the intro again.
He meant outro.
And no, actually, I meant intro, not outro. It's my show. I can say whatever the hell it is. There's no one in the show is going to correct me. Thank you very much. So we're going to do this again. One more time. Good night. You know what? We're not even going to do an outro. You guys are just screwed it up. You ruined the show. We're just going to end it abruptly. Goodbye, everybody.